Chapter 791. For their master's ability to disguise, they had always admired her. She obviously had the strength, but the master just didn't say it. She just waited for a while to anger the other party to death. They could now imagine the wonderful expressions of Gu Yaoi and others at the end. For the evaluation of Xiao He and Xiao Bai, Bailey Hongzhuang was very innocent. She did not deliberately pretend. However, Wei Hanyun and others had obviously already determined the result. Even if she emphasized that her alchemy skills were good, they would not believe it. In this case, why should she waste her energy? What's more, she had always only explained it to the people she cared about. For these guys who didn't have a good impression of her, since they liked to think so, then let them think so. Anyway, sooner or later, they would believe that she was not a half-baked alchemist. Hongzhuang, we won the first battle, so they're feeling pressured. That's why they said that on purpose to distract us. Lu Qinyue was very familiar with what Wei Hanyun did. For an alchemist, the most important thing was to have a peaceful mind. Once the mind was not peaceful enough, the spiritual force would be chaotic. As a result, it was very easy to have problems when alchemy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this kind of little trick has no effect on me." Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's unmoved appearance, Lu Qinyue also smiled. In fact, with Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in alchemy, these ridicules had no meaning at all. After a short break, Song Hongxi drew the second topic under everyone's gaze. The content of the second round of the alchemy competition is the refinement of black rock wood. Complete the refinement within the specified time. If the refinement fails or is not completed within the specified time, you will be eliminated. With Song Hongxi's voice falling, everyone's expression changed a little. Black rock wood was known as the most difficult medicinal material to refine among the many medicinal materials needed for alchemy. As its name suggested, its outer shell was as hard as a black rock. It would take a long time for the flame to burn its outer shell. However, the essence wrapped in the outer shell was extremely delicate. If the flame was not changed immediately after the outer shell was burned, the essence would directly evaporate into nothingness. For everyone's current age, refining the black rockwood was undoubtedly an extremely difficult assessment. This was something that everyone disliked very much. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. The content of this second round was much more difficult than the first round. She believed that at their age, the vast majority of alchemists would not be able to easily refine it. Back then, when she first started learning alchemy, she was also very helpless about this black rockwood. It was just that those old guys in the family seemed to like to find these difficult things for her to do, so she fought with the black rockwood for a long time and finally improved the extraction efficiency of the black rockwood. However, thanks to the black rockwood, her spiritual force had become sharper when refining pills, and her ability to control spiritual force had become more precise. Now that she was going to refine the black rockwood again, she recalled a lot of memories of the past. A beautiful smile slowly appeared on her lips. The faces of Wei Hanyun and the others turned ugly. It was obvious that it would not be easy to pass this stage. Chapter 792. With Bailey Hongzhuang's half-baked level, there was only one result when it came to refining black rockwood: failure. The previous attitude of Bailey Hongzhuang obviously made them very dissatisfied. It was reasonable to say that with Bailey Hongzhuang's half-baked level, she should be very inferior in front of them. However, Bailey Hongzhuang not only did not have the slightest feeling of inferiority, but also dared to laugh at them. In this round of the competition, Bailey Hongzhuang's half-baked level would be exposed. They wanted to see how arrogant Bailey Hongzhuang would be. Once Bailey Hongzhuang was eliminated, they would definitely take this opportunity to humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang tauntingly, but Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have not expected the predicament that she would be in next. She was still indifferent, which made them very disappointed. The 6 people lined up on the high platform, each with the same alchemy furnace in front of them, and on the table next to it, there were 3 pieces of black rockwood. Now the refining of the black rockwood begins. The competition time is 2 hours. Within 2 hours, if the black rockwood is not refined successfully, you will be eliminated. If the refining of all 3 black rockwood is failed within 2 hours, you will be eliminated directly. Lin Hao's voice clearly passed into everyone's ears. This was the rule of this competition. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the black rockwood on the side. It was not that Lingyin College was stingy and only prepared 3 pieces of black rockwood. In fact, if the refining of these 3 pieces of black rockwood failed, it would be too late to refine the 4th piece of black rockwood. The refining of black rockwood was a very tedious thing. It was a very long process to burn the outer shell of the black rockwood. Nature was full of wonders. Although this kind of black rockwood was a headache for alchemists, the essence of it did have a very good effect. Dong! As Lin Hao hit the gong, the second round of the competition officially began. The entire high platform became quiet. Bailey Hongzhuang and others began to make a fire, preparing to refine the black rockwood. Compared to the silence on the high platform, the people below the high platform were still chatting. Alchemy was also a very lonely and quiet process. In fact, other than alchemists, ordinary people would also feel very bored watching their alchemy process. This was because other than being able to see the movements of the alchemist, they simply didn't know what was happening inside the pill furnace. It was truly boring. Bailey Hongzhuang is definitely going to be eliminated in this round. This round is no longer a team competition. She is definitely a cultivator, and her attainments in alchemy are limited. No matter what, Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in cultivation is already very amazing. To think that she can even understand alchemy is already very impressive. Everyone nodded. Bailey Hongzhuang had already convinced them with her strength. As for Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in alchemy, they didn't care at all. They wanted to come to the Kanglin College just to make up the number of people. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to win any results. Xia Jiqing and others listened to the discussion of the people around them, and they felt a little funny. These people all underestimated Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang methodically controlled the flame in the pill furnace and then put the black rockwood into the pill furnace. Chapter 793. Bailey Hongzhuang closed her eyes, and her mental power quickly spread out and wrapped around the entire pill furnace. The situation inside the pill furnace also appeared in her mind. The black rockwood looked like a piece of pitch black wood, but this wood was extremely hard. Even if it was burned with flames, it couldn't be burned down for a long time. Bailey Hongzhuang was very patient. She always controlled the temperature of the flame and refined the black rockwood bit by bit. On the high platform, the 6 alchemists seemed to be meditating. Except for the slight movement in the pill furnace, it proved that they were refining the black rockwood. Although many people couldn't understand the situation, everyone was still full of interest. After all, the alchemist assessment was usually not open. Seeing it today could also let them know a little more about alchemists. Chu Jio's gaze sized up the 6 alchemists one by one, and finally fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. In fact, she also felt that this Bailey Hongzhuang was only half-baked. Even in this first round of the competition, Bailey Hongzhuang reminded Lu Qingyue. In her opinion, it was just Bailey Hongzhuang's good luck. This first round of the competition only tested the alchemist's attentiveness. It was not difficult, so it was not surprising that Bailey Hongzhuang found it. However, now that she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang refining the black rockwood calmly, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang did not seem to be as simple as she thought. After noticing Chu Jio's gaze, Lin Hao couldn't help but ask, "Elder Chu, what do you think of Bailey Hongzhuang's level?" He also noticed Bailey Hongzhuang. According to the news that Huan Chuyu told them before, only Lu Qingyue should participate in this alchemy competition. They were all discerning people. Bailey Hongzhuang clearly entered the competition at the last minute. Logically speaking, her alchemy skills should not be strong, but Bailey Hongzhuang's side so far was not so simple. "I think this little girl may be stronger than we expected," Chu Jio said slowly. She had been in the Alchemist Guild for so many years and had seen a lot of young alchemists. She could judge a lot of information from a person's spirit. This is not impossible. Although Lu Qingyue is an alchemist, her cultivation is not bad. Chen Yu said, "It's a pity that this girl put all her energy on cultivation. Otherwise, she should also be a very outstanding alchemist." Chu Jio sighed faintly. This was really a pity. Her talent can't be compared to Lu Qinwei after all. I heard of Wei of Alchemist Wei. He is very outstanding. Lin Hao's face revealed a gratified smile. With so many talented alchemists appearing in the younger generation, he also felt very gratified. Chu Jio nodded. Indeed, the younger generation this time is indeed very outstanding. And Lin's aunts. It seemed that these old fellows had made a mistake this time. Huan Chu thought about it. If Bailey Hongzhuang did not go to the Alchemist Guild to participate in the assessment, he would not know that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were so good. Xiao He and Xiao Bai did not make a fuss after Bailey Hongzhuang began refining the black rockwood. After all, they could not be distracted at this time. Chapter 794. At this moment, suddenly, a sound attracted everyone's attention. Chi. This voice wasn't loud, but it was very abrupt on this unusually quiet high platform. Yi Ruyu's face was ugly for a while. He didn't expect that he had just burned the shell of the black rockwood, and the fire was so fierce that it directly burned the essence into nothingness. Looking at Lu Qinyue and others who were still refining without any problems, Yi Ruyu's face was even more ugly. He had always been very confident in his alchemy skills. He did not expect that the first person to make a mistake in refining the black rock would turn out to be him. Naturally, he felt ashamed. Gu Yaoi also sighed after seeing Yi Ruyu fail in refining. However, in this short distraction, another familiar sound came out. Chi. As this voice came out, a burnt smell quietly spread out, and Gu Yaoi's face also became ugly. She just distracted for a short moment, and it led to such a result. She really regretted it. If she had known this, she should not have paid attention to everything around her at all. However, it was obviously useless to regret now. Yi Ruyu, who was originally in an unusually low mood, saw that Gu Yaoi also had the same situation as him, and his ugly face was slightly relieved. At least, he was not the only one who failed. After a short pause, Yi Ryu immediately picked up the second piece of black rockwood and put it into the furnace. Now there was still time. As long as he continued to refine, he would not be eliminated if he could complete it before the end of the time. Gu Yaoi's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. It was reasonable to say that she had failed to refine, and Bailey Hongzhuang should not persist longer than her. However, so far, Bailey Hongzhuang still did not show any change. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang had not succeeded in burning the shell of the black rockwood? When this idea emerged in her mind, Gu Yaoi confirmed this answer. That must be it. Apart from that, there was no other reason. Under the high platform, when the onlookers saw that both Gu Yaoi and Yi Ruyu failed to refine, but Bailey Hongzhuang was still calm, they were also surprised. Did they underestimate the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang? Is it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills are very good? It's incredible that she hasn't failed until now. Impossible. Maybe Bailey Hongzhuang was just lucky. I heard that refining the black rockwood is a very difficult thing. Bailey Hongzhuang should not rely on luck, but strength. This was clearly a competition between alchemists, but Bailey Hongzhuang's sudden participation became the focus of everyone's attention. Many people were betting on when Bailey Hongzhuang would be eliminated because they didn't know much about the other 5 alchemists. The only one who knew more was Bailey Hongzhuang. Crack! Bailey Hongzhuang listened to a slight sound coming from the furnace, which was the movement when the shell of the black rockwood was burned. Therefore, as soon as she heard this sound, Bailey Hongzhuang had restrained the flame, so as not to burn the essence of the black rockwood into nothingness. Chapter 795. Compared with burning the outer shell of the black rock wood, the impurities in the quenching essence were more complicated. The control of the fire needed to be particularly delicate. A little carelessness would cause the essence to burn into nothingness. But if the fire was too small, the impurities in the essence could not be completely removed. It was precisely for this reason that the black rock wood was a big way to test the alchemist's control of the fire. Chi. Another burning sound sounded, and Chi Junin's face was a little ugly. His refining was almost completed, but he didn't expect that he was just a little anxious and led to the failure of the refining. An indescribable sense of depression spread in Chi Junin's heart. Because of the failure of the first round, he just wanted to get back in this second round. As long as he could win in this second round with the fastest speed, he could always get back a little. He didn't expect that both he and Yi Ruyu would fail now. As a result, it was absolutely impossible for them to be the first to complete the second round of assessment. Originally, the last two people were Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi. He didn't expect that because of his failure at the moment, he would become the slowest person. Taking a look at the time, Qi Junin didn't dare to delay any longer. If he delayed any longer, there wouldn't be enough time. Lu Qinyue closed her eyes and let herself not pay attention to everything around her. She put all her attention on refining the black rock wood. For a while, Lu Qinyue, Bailey Hongzhuang, and Wei Hanyun were all neck and neck. Wei Hanyun was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang could hold on for so long, which was completely beyond his expectations. Could it be this Bailey Hongzhuang really had some skills in alchemy? Refining the black rock wood was not a simple matter. Without a certain level, it was impossible to refine it successfully. In his judgment, Bailey Hongzhuang's situation should not be fake. Taking another look at Lu Qinyue, his goal this time was to defeat Lu Qinyue, but the sudden appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang undoubtedly affected his plan. Feeling Wei Hanyun's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly opened her eyes and glanced at Wei Hanyun indifferently. She raised her eyebrows, and her lips curled into a mocking smile. She was clearly provoking Wei Hanyun. Sensing Bailey Hongzhuang's provocation, Wei Hanyun was even more furious. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really despicable. He was just a cultivator, yet he dared to challenge him in the field of alchemy. He was simply courting death. After Xia Jiqing saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, there was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Won't Hongzhuang be affected if she's distracted at this time? Based on the current situation, it seemed that any moment of distraction would lead to the failure of the extraction of the herbs. It was precisely because of this that Qi Junin and the other two failed one after another. Bailey Hongzhuang actually dared to provoke Wei Hanyun now. Wasn't it too risky? Gong Shaoqing's gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang, and his eyes flashed with a thoughtful light. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was provoking Wei Hanyun, Lu Qinyu on the other side was not affected at all. Perhaps Hongzhuang wants to fulfill Qinyue's wish. As Gong Shaoqing's voice fell, a look of astonishment appeared on the faces of Bai Junyu and the rest. Taking a closer look, everyone understood the meaning of Gong Shaoqing's words. Chapter 796. They also had a certain understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang's temperament. The successive actions of Lingyin College had already angered Bailey Hongzhuang. Therefore, in this college tournament, Bailey Hongzhuang was aiming to slap their faces. She did not intend to give Lingyin College and Beihai College any face. In fact, from the time they blocked Kanglan College outside the college, they had already not given them any face. Bailey Hongzhuang had always acted by the principle of revenge. Tolerance and generosity depended on whether the other party was worth it or not. Today's alchemy competition was the result of the discussion between Lingyin College and Beihai College. They wanted to use this method to defeat Kanglan College. In this case, she would make Lingyin College and Beihai College lose face within the scope of what she could do. Perhaps there would be a lot of alchemists who could stay in this round, but as long as someone from Kanglan College could be the first to complete it, the effect would have been achieved. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang did not perform well in this round, so what? In everyone's eyes, she was just a cultivator. Even if she had a certain understanding of alchemy, it was just a smattering of knowledge. If she lost, no one would feel that it was wrong. In fact, in everyone's opinion, it was a miracle that Bailey Hongzhuang could persist until now. As long as Hongzhuang's provocation makes Wei Hanyun's mentality unbalanced, then Lu Qinyue will be the first in this round. Zhang Yunfeng had an epiphany, and his mentality was unbalanced. This was the trick that Wei Hanyun had used on Bailey Hongzhuang. He did not expect that now it would be used on him by Bailey Hongzhuang. Cui Haoyun's eyes were full of admiration. With the help of Hongzhuang, Qin Wei will definitely be in the limelight. The eyes of Bai Junyu and others fell on the pink and white figures on the high platform. These were the two stars of Kanglan College. Although Lu Qinyue would be in the limelight, In their eyes, the brightest star was Bailey Hongzhuang. For the glory of Kanglan College, she obviously did not care about personal results. Just this alone was something that many cultivators could not achieve. Wei Hanyun, the alchemists of your Beihai College are not that good. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her phoenix eyes, her eyes full of ridicule. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Wei Hanyun felt a burst of anger. He knew that Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to use this method to provoke him. He also knew that at this critical moment, he could not be distracted. He was the only one left in the team of Beihai College, but Kanglan College still had Lu Qingyue. Even if he and Bailey Hongzhuang failed together, Lu Qingyue would win first place in this round, so he couldn't be distracted. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's words provoked his anger again and again, making him furious. This damned woman. From the moment this woman stepped onto the stage, he had already realized that this woman was definitely a disaster. It turned out that Bailey Hongzhuang may not have dazzling results in alchemy, but she was good at ruining their results. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far. Wei Hanyun's voice was full of anger, but his heart was secretly surprised. It was reasonable to say that with Bailey Hongzhuang's level, as long as there was a moment of distraction, the refining should have failed. Chapter 797. Wei Hanyun was puzzled. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang didn't refine the black rockwood at all? This scene also fell into the eyes of Chu Jio and the other two. They were also a little surprised by Bailey Hongzhuang's actions. However, this competition did not stipulate that one could not speak in the middle of the competition. For an alchemist, any situation was possible, and this kind of forced distraction was even more common. What's more, Wei Hanyun used this trick to stimulate Bailey Hongzhuang before it didn't seem to have any effect. Instead, Wei Hanyun's current state was affected. I just said a few words, and you said that I'm too much. Your mental quality is really not good. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed with emotion, and then she withdrew her appearance. She didn't intend to continue to pay attention to Wei Hanyun. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, Wei Hanyun was even more furious. He wanted to say something more, but it seemed that it was useless to say anything. Just when Wei Hanyun was thinking about how to make Bailey Hongzhuang unhappy, a dull sound came from his pill furnace. Cheat! Wei Hanyun's face instantly turned purple. He was actually led into a ditch by Bailey Hongzhuang. His mind was full of how to make Bailey Hongzhuang unhappy, but he forgot that refining the black rockwood was the most important thing now. Bailey Hongzhuang. Wei Hanyun gritted his teeth. His quenching was about to succeed, but he failed under such circumstances. However, for Wei Hanyun's angry words, Bailey Hongzhuang acted as if she didn't hear anything. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze quietly fell on Lu Qingyue's body. She had already judged that Wei Hanyun's speed was a bit faster than Lu Qingyue's. If this continued, Wei Hanyun would complete the refining of the black rockwood before Lu Qingyue. With Wei Hanyun's sophisticated appearance when refining the black rockwood, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart also had a hint of doubt. Clearly, this Wei Hanyun's alchemy skills were very high, even higher than Lu Qingyue. If it was someone else, under such a distraction, the black rockwood essence in the pill furnace would have already turned into a pile of waste, but Wei Hanyun persisted for so long. From this, it could be seen that Wei Hanyun's alchemy skills were outstanding, and from his indifferent attitude towards Lu Qingyue, it was obvious that his purpose was to defeat Lu Qingyue. Beihai College was really prepared this time. It was precisely because of this that she acted in the middle of the competition. No matter what preparations Beihai College made for today's alchemy competition, as long as she was there, she would not let them succeed. Guyaoi put all her hopes on Wei Hanyun. Unexpectedly, Wei Hanyun failed at the moment when he was about to succeed. Previously, her mentor had told her that Wei Hanyun's alchemy skills were very powerful. She only needed to cooperate with Wei Hanyun to win first place in the alchemy competition. However, Wei Hanyun's failure at this time meant that there was not much time left. Thinking of this, Guyaoi couldn't help but panic, and the pill furnace once again turned into a pile of waste. Song Hongshi's face was extremely ugly. He didn't understand what was going on with Wei Hanyun and Guyaoi today. Usually, Such a competition should not be difficult for them at all, but now there were frequent situations. Among the three teams, they were the slowest. Chapter 798. Hearing this, Huan Chuyu looked at Song Hongxi faintly and said, Bailey Hongzhuang is just giving him a taste of his own medicine. This trick was the usual trick of Beihai College. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang used it back, he felt very happy. Just one sentence. Let Song Hongxi's face become gloomy. In fact, it was Wei Hanyun who first used this trick. However, Wei Hanyun used it before the start of the competition. He did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to use it in the process of the competition. Song Hongxi snorted. The previous Huan Chuyu had never had such an attitude, but now it was getting more and more ruthless. Jin Qingqiu glanced at Huan Chuyu without a trace. This time, the approach of Kanglan College was really different. It had completely changed their attitude. For today's alchemy competition, they had spent a lot of effort. They did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to appear, so they were caught off guard. Hongzhuang is too powerful. At the moment when she saw Wei Hanyun fail, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but applaud. This was really too good. I'm afraid the conspiracy of the two colleges is useless after meeting Hongzhuang. Cui Haoyan chuckled. Bailey Hongzhuang's trick must have made Wei Hanyun very angry. Gong Shaoqing and the others' faces were filled with a happy smile. Wei Hanyun was really too smart. He deserved it. Wei Hanyun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was still refining the black rock wood, and a gloomy light flashed in his eyes. He did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang was really refining the black rock wood. If it was true, the black rock wood in the alchemy furnace would have already turned into nothingness. Now, he finally understood that the Kanglan College letting Bailey Hongzhuang participate in the alchemy competition was just a cover. Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were not very good, but she could cause destruction. As long as Lu Qinyue could win first place, it was enough. The Kanglan College was really good. Thinking of this, Wei Hanyun glared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Since this was Bailey Hongzhuang's scheme, then he would never let Bailey Hongzhuang's scheme succeed. Wei Hanyun slowly took a few steps back and walked slowly in the direction of Gu Yaoi. But when he passed by Lu Qinyue, he accidentally fell and directly bumped into Lu Qinyue. The sudden situation made Lu Qinyue startled, and she quickly went to stabilize the situation in the pill furnace. I'm really sorry. Wei Hanyun patted his clothes, looked at Lu Qinyue apologetically, and then walked back to his seat. On the other side, Qi Junan and Yi Ruyu were secretly delighted when they saw this scene. In fact, this was also the last method they had thought of. According to the instructions of the mentor, no matter what method was used today, they had to make the Kanglan College fail, but they really didn't have the courage to do such a blatant move. After all, in this way, everyone knew that they were secretly harming Lu Qinyue. They didn't expect that when they were still hesitating whether to do so, Wei Hanyun had already done it without hesitation. For Bailey Hongzhuang, they didn't care. Lu Qinyue was the real opponent. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang stayed on this high platform until the last moment, she would not do anything. Lu Qinyue had already taken care of the black rockwood essence in the alchemy furnace, but this essence was too fragile. Chapter 799. Chi. The same subtle sound rang out, and the situation in Lu Qinyue's furnace had turned into nothingness. Listening to this sound, a smile appeared on Wei Hanyun's lips, but when he looked at Gu Yaoi, he showed a look of disgust. Feeling Wei Hanyun's gaze, Gu Yaoi's face was a little ugly. As early as when she failed before, Wei Hanyun asked her to destroy Lu Qinyue's refining, but she had never dared. Unexpectedly, Wei Hanyun directly solved Lu Qinyue, so their pressure was relieved a lot. Trash. Wei Hanyun coldly dropped a sentence and continued to refine the black rock wood. Standing beside Bailey Hongzhuang again, Wei Hanyun's eyes showed a touch of pride. He did not affect Bailey Hongzhuang. He wanted to see how long Bailey Hongzhuang would pretend like this. After the time was up, if Bailey Hongzhuang still did not refine anything, then she would really be a huge joke. Bailey Hongzhuang, no matter what you do, Kanglan College will be at the bottom this time. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, and her calm look did not change because of Wei Hanyun's words. Even so, your speed is not necessarily faster than Lu Qinhue. Lu Qinyue's face was quite ugly, but soon she continued to refine. No matter what she was in the second round of assessment, she could not be eliminated no matter what. Yi Ryu's heart was filled with joy. Originally, he was the first person to fail. Unexpectedly, now he had become the fastest person among all the people. It was really a blessing in disguise. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, he had long forgotten about her, because she couldn't win. After Bailey Hongzhuang noticed the expressions of Wei Hanyun and others, her heart was also helpless. Was she being underestimated? Her black rock wood was about to be refined. These guys who had always wanted to plot against her seemed to have completely ignored her existence. When Wei Hanyun and others saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was still pretending to refine the black rockwood, they were very amused. They didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang was really good at pretending. This group of idiots actually neglected Hongzhuang. I'm afraid they'll regret it later. Although the failure of Lu Qinyue's refinement made everyone feel sorry, Xia Jiqing believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would be able to complete the refinement. They made a common mistake that many people would make, but Hongzhuang is really amazing. She didn't fail in refining under such circumstances. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were full of amazement. She saw that the other alchemists were only distracted for a moment, which led to the failure of refining. Among the alchemists present, the one with the most distractions was Bailey Hongzhuang. But Bailey Hongzhuang hadn't had any problems until now. As soon as these words came out, Lu Qinyue and Zhang Yunfeng looked at each other. Hongzhuang really didn't refine it? Everyone's expression changed a bit. This seemed to be not impossible. After Cang Hongxi saw Wei Hanyun's actions, there was a smile in his eyes. As long as Lu Qinyue's progress was affected, then their goal was achieved. Wei Hanyun saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had still maintained her previous actions. He sneered in his heart. He wanted to see how long Bailey Hongzhuang could pretend. However, at this moment, a faint fragrance came from Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy furnace. Chapter 800. Not only Wei Hanyun, but Yi Ryu and others were also completely stunned. This fragrance, wasn't it the fragrance of the essence of the black rockwood? What a joke. Bailey Hongzhuang was really refining the black rockwood before. She was so distracted that she could still refine it successfully. This was definitely teasing them. However, Bailey Hongzhuang made them understand with practical actions that they really ignored the most important enemy. Bailey Hongzhuang directly put the essence of the black rockwood into the container and looked at Wei Hanyun and others with a smile. In fact, because she had refined the black rockwood many times before, she was very familiar with the black rockwood. A short distraction had no effect on her at all, because she was familiar enough and knew when to pay attention to what. Lu Qinyue's face showed a faint smile. Everyone regarded her as an opponent, but they didn't know that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were equally exquisite. The first place of this round of assessment was Kanglin College. The alchemists of Lingyin College and Beihai College were probably angry. In contrast, she was in a very good mood. Bailey Hongzhuang's previous move was to help her, but before the start of the competition, her master had already reminded her that the other party was likely to make trouble in today's competition, and she should be more careful. However, Wei Hanyun's move was always impossible to guard against. Fortunately, everyone underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang, so Bailey Hongzhuang was the first to complete the refining easily. Speaking of Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue's heart was also a little emotional. For a long time, she and Bailey Hongzhuang had never competed in alchemy, but judging from the situation just now, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were likely to be better than hers. Because, in the process of refining, it was absolutely impossible for her to be distracted like Bailey Hongzhuang, which showed the gap between them. When Bai Jingtian and the others came to Lingyin College, they saw the scene of Bailey Hongzhuang completing the refining. The three of them couldn't help but look at each other. This situation was a bit wrong. Isn't Bailey Hongzhuang a cultivator? Today, Lingyin College is holding an alchemy competition. Why did Bailey Hongzhuang run up there? Bai Jingtian looked puzzled. They were still thinking about where to go to find Bailey Hongzhuang. They didn't expect to see Bailey Hongzhuang on the high platform. Ji Yanma's eyes flashed with doubts. I don't know. This girl should not be an alchemist, right? When Ji Yanma mentioned this idea, he immediately rejected it. What a joke. Bailey Hongzhuang was clearly an inscription master. Since this girl is on a high platform, let's wait a while. I'm Qin Qin Qingwu, 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 Qingwu. After finding Bailey Hongzhuang, Qin Qingwu breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang did not leave the imperial city, he was very pleased. Chu Jiao checked the refining results of Bailey Hongzhuang and announced that Bailey Hongzhuang had passed. Hearing this news, the faces of Yi Ruyu and others were ugly. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang had been pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. By now, they no longer doubted the strength of Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 801. After seeing the situation, Chu Jiao and the other two were almost certain that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy level was good. It seems that Huan Lao was hiding something this time. I didn't expect that there was such a good seedling in the Kangling College besides Lu Girl. Chun Yu chuckled, looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with appreciation. Chu Jiao nodded slightly. Compared with Lu Girl, this Bailey girl's temper is obviously more intense. It was not the first time that they were referees of this alchemy competition. They were very clear about the tricks used by Lingyin College and Beihai College in the past. On the home ground of Lingyin College, Kangling College was dwarfed. Unexpectedly, in this alchemy competition, Bailey Hongzhuang had tricked the other two teams. This was a very rare scene. I think this girl's character is good. Lu Girl's character is a bit too soft. Although alchemists are not as contradictory as cultivators, it is easy to be bullied if your character is too soft. Lin Hao shook his head. They had known Lu Qinyue for a long time. For Lu Qinyue, they were also worried about her natural good temper. For alchemists, most of the time, it was a war without gunpowder. I don't know what level this girl's alchemy skills are now. She is already a cultivator of the innate realm at such a young age. It is really surprising that she can have such achievements in alchemy. Chu Jiao smiled. Chun Yu smiled faintly. That's not simple. When the third round of assessment comes, you will naturally know. When Bailey Hongzhuang finished refining, because they were too surprised, Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi's refining failed again. When the two heard the sound coming from the alchemy furnace, their faces turned pale. Most of the time had passed, and they failed again. In the remaining time, they were likely to be eliminated because they could not finish. At the thought of this, the two were even more resentful of Bailey Hongzhuang. If it weren't for Bailey Hongzhuang, they would not have been distracted at this critical moment. While the two of them resented Bailey Hongzhuang had no idea about it. She had already passed the competition and was resting at the side. However, even if Bailey Hongzhuang knew what the two were thinking, she would not care. What does their distraction have to do with her? In the end, it was just that their self-control wasn't strong enough. In the end, Wei Hanyun and Lu Qinwei completed the refining at the same time, and Qi Junin also completed it. But Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi were eliminated because they did not catch up at the time. In the second round, Bailey Hongzhuang, Lu Qinyue, Wei Hanyun, and Qi Junin have passed. Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi are eliminated. Chun Yu immediately announced the final result. The crowd under the high platform sighed after hearing the result. This time, the Kangling College was really going to shine. In the first two rounds of the alchemy competition, the Azure Water College actually had the best results. It was really amazing. Yi Ruyu and Gu Yaoi walked down the high platform. Both of their faces flashed with unwillingness, but even if they were unwilling, it was useless. The alchemists of the Kangling College are really good. The performance of Lu Qinyue and Bailey Hongzhuang is very outstanding. Chapter 802. After Bai Jingtian and the other two heard Chun Yu's words, they decided that their previous guess was not wrong. Bailey Hongzhuang turned out to be an alchemist? This girl was going against the heaven's will. According to the news I got, Bailey Hongzhuang is obviously a cultivator. How did she become an alchemist? Ji Yanma was puzzled. Logically, the news he got should not be wrong. Was it possible that Bailey Hongzhuang's real identity was an alchemist? Nonsense. Bai Jingtian blew his beard. This girl is clearly a rare genius inscription master. Now, she is wasting time on alchemy. It's simply nonsense. Although alchemists were also very promising, the number of alchemists was much more than inscriptionists. Inscriptionists were the nobles of the nobles. Bailey Hongzhuang did not want to be an inscriptionist, but ran to be an alchemist. Wasn't this a waste of talent? Ji Yanma and Qin Qingwu also agreed with Bai Jingtian's words. With Bailey Hongzhuang's talent in inscriptions, it was a waste of talent if she did not concentrate on studying inscriptions. It seems that we have to talk to Bailey Hongzhuang. Her talent in inscriptions is better than alchemy. Qin Qingwu said seriously. Now the third round of the competition begins. With Jin Qingqiu's voice falling, everyone's eyes fell on him, and Jin Qingqiu also pulled out a question. The third round of the competition, refining the highest level of elixir within the scope of your ability. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes lit up. From the previous 2 rounds of the competition, they could not understand who had the best alchemy skills, but in the third round of the competition, everyone could clearly see the process of alchemy. This was what everyone was looking forward to the most. Xia Jiqing and others could not help but show a curious light on their faces. So far, they had never seen Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingqiu refining pills. They did not know what it was like when they were refining pills. Lin Hao slowly stood up and said, "The current scores are as follows. Bailey Hongzhuang 6 points, Lu Qingyu 5 points, Wei Hanyan 4 points, Qi Junin 2 points. The third round of the competition will now begin. The points will be doubled in the third round, and the one with the highest points will be the champion. The third round of the competition will now begin." Hearing this score, the cultivators of Lingyin College had ugly expressions. At present, Qi Junin's score was the lowest, and Lingyin College was at the bottom. Although there was still a third round, they had already realized that it was impossible for Qi Junin to win first place. Wei Hanyan's expression turned grave. He had already guessed the topic of the third round. Therefore, he had come prepared for the third round. However, there was a difference of 2 points between him and Bailey Hongzhuang. It would not be easy to make up for this difference in the third round. Right now, he could be said to be extremely regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have planned for Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyu together. The current situation would not have become so difficult. Lu Qingyu had a faint smile on her face. Now, the possibility of Kanglin College winning first place was the greatest. As long as Kanglin College could win first place, she would be happy. At least this time, Kanglin College would not be the laughingstock of Lingyin College and Beihai College. Hongzhuang, have you prepared the second grade elixir? Chapter 803. Bailey Hongzhuang understood Lu Qinyu's worries and immediately smiled. Don't worry, I am prepared. Her pill recipe was deeply imprinted in her mind. The inheritance of the entire Bailey family was not a joke. Once she took out the pill recipe in her hands, many people would be jealous. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's confident appearance, Lu Qinyu was also relieved. She believed that Bailey Hongzhuang's inheritance would definitely not be worse than hers. Since she was going to refine the pill, Lu Qinyu was naturally prepared. She had already prepared all the herbs needed to refine the pill. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, although she was temporarily on the field, she had always prepared a lot of herbs. It just so happened that she already had all the herbs she needed. The situation of Wei Hanyun and Qi Junin naturally did not need to be mentioned. Maybe they already knew about the test. Naturally, there would be a lot of herbs. Immediately afterward, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stood on the high platform again. Everyone did not use the pill furnace that they usually used. Instead, they used the pill furnace that Lingyin College had already prepared. This was the fairest way. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 3 stood at the front of the high platform. Their every move was clearly seen by everyone, and the voices of the people who had been talking were slightly smaller. Alchemy was more meticulous than refining herbs. They tried not to affect the performance of the people on the high platform. Jian Qingqiu looked at the students of Lingyin College who had self-control under the high platform. There was a touch of relief in his eyes. However, when he looked at them, there was a touch of surprise in his eyes. After looking carefully and making sure that he was not mistaken, Jian Qingqiu could not help but stand up and quickly walked off the high platform. After seeing Jian Qingqiu's actions, There was a touch of doubt in the eyes of Huan Chuyu and the others. They did not know what Jian Qingxiu was going to do. Old Bai, Old Ji, Old Qin, I didn't expect you to come. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Jian Qingxiu's face showed a happy smile. Bai Jingtian and the other two inscriptionists had a very high reputation and status in the imperial city. Previously, he had also invited them to watch the college tournament, but they had politely refused. He just didn't expect to see them here today. He felt very honored. Not only did the three masters of the Alchemist Guild come to the meeting, but even the three masters of the Inscription Association also came. Did this not prove the influence of Lingyin College in the Qing dynasty? Bai Jingtian smiled faintly. We just happened to have some matters to attend to, so we came over. Bai Jingtian and the other two weren't interested in Jian Qingxiu. They were researchers, and Jian Qingxiu was too utilitarian. He wasn't the same as them. It was because of this that they rejected Jian Qingxiu's invitation. However, they didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to also participate in the Academy Exchange, so they came here. Hearing Bai Jingtian's answer, although Jian Qingxiu was a little surprised, he did not take it to heart. He didn't care why Bai Jingtian and the other two were here. As long as they were here, it meant that he had enough face in the eyes of others. Sure enough, when everyone saw Jian Qingxiu and Bai Jingtian standing together, their eyes were filled with shock and amazement. Chapter 804. Today's Lingyin College is really amazing. Not only did they invite the three alchemy masters of the Alchemist Guild, but they also invited the inscription masters that ordinary people can't even invite. It's really amazing. Lingyin College is now the first of the three major colleges, and their relationship with the royal family is so close. Their influence is needless to say. I've only heard of the reputation of the three inscriptionists, but this is the first time I've seen them. The students of Lingyin College were excited. As students of Lingyin College, they also felt proud that Lingyin College had such a status. Old Bai, please take a seat first and see how the students who participated in the alchemy competition perform. Jian Qingxiu smiled. Hearing this, Bai Jingtian and the other two looked at each other and did not refuse Jian Qingxiu's invitation. There was no other way. The person they were looking for was participating in the alchemy competition. They couldn't find Bailey Hongzhuang now. They could only wait for the competition to end. Seeing that Bai Jingtian and the other two agreed, the smile on Jian Qingxiu's face became even wider. He immediately invited Bai Jingtian and the other two to the high platform. When Lin Yinghao saw Bai Jingtian and the other two, his face also showed a look of joy. This was really an unexpected surprise. Seeing the arrival of Bai Jingtian and the other two, Chu Jiao and the other two also came over. Although the Inscription Association and the Alchemist Guild were not the same guild, they still had some interactions. Perhaps it was because they were all focused on doing their own things, so Chu Jiao and the others had a very good relationship with Bai Jingtian and the others. Old Bai, why are you here today? Chen Yu was a little surprised. They had talked about this with Bai Jingtian and the other two before, but it was obvious that they were not very interested in this matter. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the three of them to appear here today. What was the reason for this? If someone said that they were here to give face to Jian Qingxiu, the three of them would never believe it. They were very clear about the character of Bai Jingtian and the other two. What face? All tactics were meaningless in front of them. Obviously, Jian Qingxiu was not enough to invite them. Bai Jingtian smiled faintly. We found a genius inscriptionist a few days ago. After asking around, we found out that she was in Lingyin College, so we came over. Hearing Bai Jingtian's words, Jian Qingxiu's eyes lit up. A genius inscriptionist had appeared in Lingyin College. This was really an unexpected surprise. It was just that he didn't know which class this student belonged to. He actually didn't know that he had such outstanding talent. It was really a mistake. Even so, Jian Qingxiu was very happy. As long as he was a student of Lingyin College, he would still be a part of Lingyin College in the future. Masters, why don't I find that student after the alchemy competition is over? Jian Qingxiu asked with a smile. Bai Jingtian nodded. That's our plan. When Huan Chuyu saw Bai Jingtian and the other two, there was a hint of emotion in his eyes. He didn't expect that the status of Lingyin College was getting better and better. Even a genius inscriptionist had appeared in Lingyin College. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sigh. In the Tsanglan school, let alone an inscription master, even in the entire Tsanglan city, there was not a single inscription master. Chapter 805. Song Hongshi's expression also changed a bit. Although he was in an alliance with Lingyin College, he was also surprised to see Lingyin College having such influence. He was afraid that in the future, Beihai College would only listen to Lingyin College. He did not know if this situation would change in the future. Jian Qingxiu looked at Huan Chuyu proudly. After seeing Huan Chuyu's expression, the pride in his eyes became stronger. Whether it was Kanglin College or Beihai College, they would not be the opponents of Lingyin College. In the future, Lingyin College would definitely be the top, but Beihai College understood the situation and knew to rely on them. As for the ignorant Kanglin College, sooner or later, they would completely disappear from the Shengxian continent. Xia Jiqing and the others could not help but look at each other after seeing Bai Jingtian and the other two. They did not expect that the 3 inscription masters of Wubao Pavilion would appear here. I didn't expect the inscription masters to be interested in this alchemy competition, Bai Junyu said slowly. Xia Jiqing's eyebrows showed some displeasure. You didn't see how proud the students of Lingyin College were after seeing them appear. It seems that Lingyin College is worthy of being first. Now she did not have a good impression of Lingyin College. She only hoped that the results of Lingyin College would be terrible. She did not expect that the appearance of the 3 inscription masters would add glory to Lingyin College. She could not help but feel depressed. Lu Huayan's face was also not very good. The greater the influence of Lingyin College, the more unfavorable it would be for Kanglin College. However, Lingyin College had moved to the imperial city of the Qing dynasty. The conditions were indeed a lot more convenient. At least the students had the opportunity to come into contact with inscriptions. However, there was no inscription master in the entire Kanglin city. The students did not have the opportunity to see it. Lin Hao sat down next to Bai Jingtian. Old Bai, did you really find an inscription master in Lingyin College? Lin Hao was very surprised. An inscription master was harder to find than an alchemist. Although the threshold for becoming an alchemist was very high, there were many more alchemists than inscriptionists. Therefore, it was much easier for an alchemist disciple to find a master than an inscription master. Even in the entire Qing dynasty, there were only 3 inscriptionists who could become masters. It was really surprising that they could find inscriptionists in Lingyin College. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Bai Jingtian pondered for a moment. He understood Lin Hao's character. He was a person who cherished talents. Would this guy fight with him? Thinking of this, Bai Jingtian said ambiguously, that girl is in Lingyin College. Lin Hao's brows furrowed slightly. He felt that Bai Jingtian's situation today was a little strange. Bai Jingtian and the others had never been interested in the alchemy competition. In their eyes, inscriptions were the most powerful. But now, they were actually sitting here watching young alchemists refine pills with great interest. Old Chun, who do you favor the most in this year's alchemy competition? Ji Yuma looked at Chunyu and asked. He had the same idea as Bai Jingtian. They couldn't let Bailey Hongzhuang be taken away by the Alchemist Association. Chunyu also felt strange about Ji Yunma's question. Did this old guy change his temperament today? Chapter 806. Listening to Chun Yu's words, Ji Yunma couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in alchemy was not the most outstanding. Besides Lu Qingyue, Ji Yunma continued to ask. Chun Yu's eyes couldn't help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang and Wei Hanyun. According to the information he received, Wei Hanyun was already a level 2 alchemist. At Wei Hanyun's age, he could become a level 2 alchemist. His talent was already very outstanding. He was only slightly weaker than Lu Qingyue. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, so far, he didn't get much information about Bailey Hongzhuang. He could only judge from Bailey Hongzhuang's performance that Bailey Hongzhuang was quite accomplished in alchemy. However, he didn't know that Bailey Hongzhuang was now a level 2 alchemist, so it was difficult for him to make a judgment. Thinking about it, Chunyu said, Wei Hanyun's alchemy is also very outstanding. He is a strong opponent of Lu Qinwei. I see. Ji Yunma's smile widened a little. It seemed that Chun Yu and others would not compete with them for Bailey Hongzhuang. Qin Qingwu's face was filled with a faint smile. He didn't need to ask. Bai Jingtian and Qin Qingwu could get the information they wanted. I think Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy level should be very good. Maybe she will have an amazing performance in the third round of the assessment. Chu Jio's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. At first, she didn't feel anything when she saw this girl. But after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in these two competitions, she felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was very likely to be hiding her strength. With Bailey Hongzhuang's age, it was reasonable to say that she should be very nervous in such an occasion. But Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was obviously not comparable to ordinary people. She was not nervous at all. It could even be said that she did not care at all. There were only two explanations for this kind of performance. First, Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were very poor, completely at the bottom of the list, so she didn't care at all. Second, her alchemy skills were very strong, and she had enough confidence in herself. Chu Jio thought for a moment between the two. She felt that Bailey Hongzhuang should belong to the second situation. Perhaps another outstanding alchemist seedling had appeared. The expressions of Bai Jingtian and the other two could not help but change. The last thing they wanted was for someone from the Alchemist Association to take a fancy to Bailey Hongzhuang. In my opinion, the two people Elderchin spoke of are better, said Qin Qingwu slowly. What a joke. They had finally discovered a genius inscription master, but instead of studying inscription techniques, he had actually come here to be an alchemist. This was simply a waste. Ji Yinma nodded in agreement. Yes, I think so too. Chu Jio's gaze fell on Ji Yinma and Qin Qingwu. As a woman, her senses were more acute. These three old guys knew nothing about alchemy. How could they know whose alchemy skills were better? The behavior of these three old guys today was really strange, but she couldn't figure out what was going on. Chu Jio didn't care if she couldn't figure it out. She would find out sooner or later anyway. Chapter 807. Lin Hao was a little proud. It was rare for Bai Jingtian and the other two to come to Lingyin College, so he naturally had to introduce them. With this opportunity, Lingyin College could also prove to everyone how strong they were. Listening to Lin Hao's words, Chu Jio and the other two also understood Lin Hao's idea. Speaking of which, Lingyin College was indeed very strong, but their way of showing off really made them speechless. The reason why they came to participate in this alchemy competition was to understand the situation of the alchemists of the three colleges. If it was just to help Lingyin College, they would not be interested. However, Bai Jingtian and the other two, who had not been interested in this, heard Lin Hao's words, and their eyes lit up. According to the information they had received, Bailey Hongzhuang was a cultivator of Kanglin College. So far, they did not know the principal of Kanglin College. That's good, Bai Jingtian said with a smile. Seeing Bai Jingtian giving him face, Lin Hao was also a little flattered. It was not that he had not dealt with Bai Jingtian and the other two before, but with their arrogant temperament. Even if he was the vice principal of Lingyin College, they would not pay more attention to him. He did not expect that in this year's college exchange, Bai Jingtian and the other two would be so easy to get along with. Principal Tsang, these three are the most famous inscriptionists in our Qing dynasty, Bai Jingtian, Ji Yunma, and Qin Qingwu. After introducing the identities of Bai Jingtian and the other two, Lin Hao said to them, "This is the principal of Beihai College, Tsang Hongxi. I have heard of your reputation for a long time, but I did not expect to have the opportunity to meet you today." Tsang Hongxi said flattering words, but there was no trace of falsehood on his face. Bai Jingtian and the other two also smiled. Beihai College is also famous, and I admire you very much. Tsang Hongxi originally wanted to say a few more words, but the look of Bai Jingtian and the other two was obviously not very interested. Seeing this, Tsang Hongxi would not ask for a rebuff. Otherwise, if he provoked the other party, it would be bad. When Huan Chuyu saw Lin Hao coming towards him, there was a touch of helplessness between his eyebrows. Although he knew that Lin Hao was coming to show off, he had no way. This is the vice principal of the Azure Water School, Huan Chuyu, Elder Huan. Lin Hao looked at Huan Chuyu proudly. He wanted to use this opportunity to let the Kanglin College understand the gap between them and the Lingyin College. There was a smile on Jian Qingqiu's face. Even if Lingyin College was defeated yesterday, in his opinion, Lingyin College only needed Nangong Aochin. With Nangong Aochin's strength, whether it was Kanglin College or Beihai College, no one was his opponent. There was a smile on Huan Chuyu's face. Although he had no feelings for Lingyin College, he still admired the inscription masters. Just as Huan Chuyu was about to speak, Bai Jingtian had already walked in front of him enthusiastically, directly ignoring Lin Yinghao, who was at the side. "So you are the vice principal of the Kanglin College. I have heard a lot about you." Bai Jingtian smiled. Chapter 808. Ji Yunma also smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang was a student of the Azure Water School, so their attitude toward Huan Chuyu was naturally not bad. In fact, they were very happy that the Azure Water School could bring Bailey Hongzhuang to participate in the inter-school competition. Otherwise, the three old men didn't know how long they would be troubled by the previous problem. Lin Hao was stunned. What was this situation? The Azure Water School was just an outdated school. Why were Bai Jingtian and the others so enthusiastic toward Huan Chuyu? This was too strange. Huan Chuyu was also stunned. He had no idea what was going on. Before today, he had never seen Bai Jingtian and the others, let alone have any friendship with them. From the attitude of Bai Jingtian and the others towards Tsang Hongxi, it could be seen that they weren't naturally enthusiastic people. But why did they treat him like this? However, no matter what, this was a good thing for Huan Chuyu. He immediately smiled and said, "Thank you. I have admired the three masters for a long time. I am very happy to be able to meet you today." Listening to Huan Chuyu's words, Bai Jingtian and the others also smiled. Old Huan is an alchemist. We have heard from Old Chun and the others before. We should keep in touch in the future. Huan Chuyu nodded repeatedly, of course. Jian Qingqiu's face became very ugly. He wanted to take this opportunity today to make Huan Chuyu and the others jealous. He didn't expect Bai Jingtian and the others to treat Huan Chuyu more warmly than they treated him. Although he felt it was very strange, after listening to the conversation between Bai Jingtian and the others, he understood. The reason why Bai Jingtian and the others were so polite to Huan Chuyu was entirely because Huan Chuyu was a fourth-grade alchemist and also a friend of Chun Yu and the others. There was a trace of dissatisfaction in Jian Qingqiu's eyes. He didn't expect Huan Chuyu's luck to be so good. On the contrary, Chun Yu and the others couldn't help but look at each other. The reaction of Bai Jingtian and the others today was too strange. There was definitely something they didn't know. On the high platform, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly took out the herbs and placed them on the table beside her. Among the herbs she had brought with her this time, there were only herbs needed to refine a level 2 pill. Although she had now broken through to the Xiantian realm, and her alchemy skills had also improved, but she had never refined a level 3 pill. She hadn't refined for a long time, so the possibility of failure on her first try was very high. Moreover, at her age, if she managed to refine a third-grade medicinal pill, it would cause quite a stir. After all, this kind of result could no longer be described as outstanding, it was exaggerated. Therefore, after thinking about all this, Bailey Hongzhuang still decided to refine the second-grade pill, the Heaven-Mending Pill. Although the Heaven-Mending Pill was a second-grade pill, the difficulty of refining it was only slightly lower than that of a third-grade pill. Its grade was much higher than that of an ordinary second-grade pill. Whether it was Lu Qinyue or Wei Hanyun, they were both level 2 alchemists. As for Qi Junan, although she didn't know Qi Junan's alchemy level, she was sure that Qi Junan was at most a level 2 alchemist. This way, the Heaven-Mending Pill she refined shouldn't be too bad. The Heaven-Mending Pill was a great supplement for cultivators. It could increase their strength to a certain extent, but it was only effective for Red Realm cultivators. Chapter 809. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three were all very fast. After preparing the medicinal herbs, they began to refine the medicinal pills. With a thought, the flame in the pill furnace was ignited. After the cold air in the pill furnace dissipated and the temperature in the pill furnace stabilized, Bailey Hongzhuang put the first medicinal herb into the pill furnace. Refining medicinal pills was also a test to the fire. It was just that different medicinal herbs had to be refined one by one and then fused together. Therefore, the complexity of this was much higher than refining medicinal herbs. Time slowly passed. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also methodically refining medicinal pills. Other than the occasional sound of medicinal herbs being refined in the pill furnace, there was no other sound. When the onlookers saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three concentrating on refining pills, their hearts were filled with emotions. Alchemists were indeed not something that anyone could be. Just concentrating for such a long time was already very tiring. Although there was no movement on the high platform, everyone still did not feel bored. After all, the medicinal pills refined by alchemists were extremely important treasures to them. Every time the essence of medicinal herb was refined, Bailey Hongzhuang would put another medicinal herb into it. Her expression was calm, as if she was doing it with ease. Compared to Bailey Hongzhuang, who was doing it with ease, Qi Junan and the others were obviously more nervous. Seeing this scene, everyone was a little surprised in their hearts. Previously, everyone thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was just a dabbler. They did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would score the highest. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang could perform well in the third round, then Bailey Hongzhuang would very likely be the champion of this alchemy competition. Thinking of this, everyone felt that it was a little crazy. The first place of the alchemy competition was not taken away by an alchemist, but by a cultivator. This was probably the most miraculous alchemy competition. Now looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, they could already be sure that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy level was also very outstanding. A cultivator with such an outstanding talent was also an alchemist. They did not know how Bailey Hongzhuang managed to develop both of them so well. This kind of Bailey Hongzhuang was really too enviable. After all, in the process of cultivation, alchemy was indispensable. How many cultivators suffered from not having medicinal pills, but Bailey Hongzhuang could be self-sufficient? How could this not be enviable? I don't know what kind of medicinal pill Hongzhuang is refining this time. I am very curious. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with excitement. Every time Hongzhuang took out something good, she did not know what kind of medicinal pill Hongzhuang would refine in this alchemy competition. I believe that Hongzhuang and Qinyue's medicinal pills will not be bad. Although the first two rounds of the competition were somewhat unexpected, the third round of refining medicinal pills is a topic that almost every alchemy competition has. The vice principal should have also made a lot of preparations for Qinhue. I think we're likely to win this alchemy competition. Zhang Yunfeng's face was full of smiles. As far as the current situation was concerned, the Kangling College had the highest chance of winning. Although the alchemy competition was not as good as the cultivator competition, as long as they won first place, it was always good. Chapter 8:10. According to Gong Xiaoqing's observation, he found that Bai Jingtian and the other two masters of inscription were very close to the vice principal. Moreover, the three masters of inscription's gazes would fall on Bailey Hongzhuang from time to time. After seeing this scene, he couldn't help but have a guess in his heart. Perhaps the three masters were here for Hongzhuang. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang's performance that day had greatly surprised the three masters. After thinking for a moment, Gong Xiaoqing didn't say his thoughts out loud, because even if he said it out loud, no one would believe him. Wei Hanyun's gaze turned slightly and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a fierce light in his eyes. He had never expected that Bailey Hongzhuang would have such good alchemy skills. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, he wouldn't have fallen so badly in the second round. One must know that this time, he was aiming for the first place in the alchemy competition. Although there weren't many people participating in the alchemy competition, as long as he won the first place, his future path would be much smoother. And it was because of Bailey Hongzhuang's existence that he was ranked third and Bailey Hongzhuang was ranked first. This was simply unbearable. Wei Hanyun's gaze then fell on Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. He didn't care what the results of the first two rounds were. In the third round, he wanted to make Bailey Hongzhuang fail at the last step. Xiao He felt Wei Hanyun's gaze and knew that this guy was up to no good. However, In the process of refining pills, he wasn't worried that Wei Hanyun would cause trouble like he did in the second round. This kind of trash was destined to be Master's stepping stone. Under such circumstances, the third round of refining pills was unexpectedly smooth and there weren't any problems. Suddenly, a strong medicinal fragrance came from Lu Qinyue's pill furnace. Smelling this medicinal fragrance, everyone felt their spirits shake and their whole body become more energetic. Clearly, this was a sign that the medicinal pill was about to take shape. A smile appeared on Huan Chuyo's face. He had already prepared for the contents of the third round. He didn't let Lu Qinyue refine the most difficult item. The most important thing was that Lu Qinyue could only refine the highest grade item within her capabilities. Lu Qinyue, Bailey Hongzhuang, and Wei Hanyun's strength were comparable. Only Qi Junan was slightly worse. Huan Chuyu understood that according to Jian Qingxiu's idea, he wanted Beihai College to win first place in the alchemy competition and Lingyin College to win first place in the cultivator competition. As a result, the two colleges were very beautiful, and only Kanglin College was at a disadvantage. However, Jian Qingxiu's wish was fulfilled by getting first place in the alchemy competition. Just as the medicinal fragrance from Lu Qinyue's pill furnace came out, the medicinal fragrance from Wei Hanyun's pill furnace also came out. The two rich medicinal fragrances intertwined together, causing everyone to show an intoxicated look. The effect of the medicinal pill was naturally needless to say. Just the medicinal fragrance alone had a certain benefit to the cultivator. However, when Huan Chuyu smelled this familiar medicinal fragrance, his face couldn't help but change a little. His eyes flashed with surprise as he looked at Wei Hanyun. If he guessed correctly, Wei Hanyun was refining the Azure Coagulation Pill. Azure Coagulation Pill, a second-grade pill, could help cultivators condense their yuan power, making the yuan power in their dantian more condensed and thus storing more yuan power. Chapter 811. Although the Azure Coagulation Pill was a second-grade pill, it was not far from being a third-grade pill. Huan Chuyu did not expect that he had underestimated Wei Hanyun's strength. According to the information he had received, Wei Hanyun's strength should not be enough to refine the Azure Coagulation Pill. As a result, although Lu Qinyue had successfully refined the pill, the points in the third round would be doubled. Lu Qinyue would still lose to Wei Hanyun. Thinking of this, Huan Chuyo's face could not help but turn ugly. He did not expect that the result would be like this. He did not know how Beihai College found such a talented alchemist like Wei Hanyun. For a long time, he had been very confident in the strength of Lu Qinyue. It was also very powerful for Lu Qinyue to reach such a realm at her age. However, Wei Hanyun was a few years older than Lu Qinyue, and Lu Qinyue had suffered a loss. Looking at Huan Chuyo's gloomy face, Zhang Hongxi could not help but smile. The first two matches had made him very worried. He did not expect Wei Hanyun to be as good as Jian Qingxiu had said. His alchemy skills were very outstanding. Although he did not know much about alchemy, he had already understood that Beihai College would win this alchemy competition just by looking at the change in Huan Chuyo's expression. Jian Qingxiu looked indifferent. Although the performance of the alchemists of Lingyin College was not satisfactory, he cared more about the cultivators' competition. As for the alchemy competition, it did not matter. I'm afraid that Beihai College will win this round, Chu Jio said slowly. The Azure Coagulation Pill was considered a top-notch pill among second-grade pills. It would be very difficult to defeat him. Chen Yu nodded. Wei Hanyun's strength is really good. In the future, he should be a character in the alchemy world. For them, it did not matter who won or lost. They were just happy that another great guy had risen in the alchemy world. Although in terms of talent, Wei Hanyun was still not the opponent of Lu Qinyue, but compared to ordinary alchemists, Wei Hanyun was good enough. Wei Hanyun's face was full of pride. He was determined to win this alchemy competition. He was not unfamiliar with the pill that Lu Qinyue had refined. Although it was also a second-grade pill, the difficulty of refining it was not as high as the Azure Coagulation Pill, and the effect was not as good as the Azure Coagulation Pill. Therefore, he would win this competition. Ding! Lu Qingyue opened the lid of the furnace, and an even richer medicinal fragrance wafted out. The cultivators below the high platform greedily absorbed this medicinal fragrance and were very intoxicated. After slowly putting the pills into the white porcelain bottle, Lu Qingyue quietly stood to the side. She had already finished refining the pills for the third round. However, when she shifted her gaze and noticed Huan Chuyo's gloomy expression, her good mood changed slightly. She was very satisfied with her own performance, but since her master had revealed such an expression, she was afraid that the medicinal pill that Wei Hanyun had refined was of an even higher grade. Thinking of this, Lu Qinyue's face also became ugly, but now it was too late to refine the pill again. Could it be that she was going to miss out on victory just like that? Ding! Wei Hanyun also completed the refining of the medicinal pill. As the pill furnace was opened, a rich medicinal fragrance spread out. Lu Qinyue's expression also changed a bit. Chapter 8:12. Azure Congealing Pill. This was the medicinal fragrance of Azure Congealing Pill. Azure Congealing Pill was very famous among the second-grade pills. She had smelled this medicinal fragrance when her master was refining Azure Congealing Pill. The reason why she was so talented in alchemy was because her sense of smell was sensitive enough. When she was identifying herbs, she could judge them just by smelling them. It was because of this that she could be sure that this medicinal fragrance belonged to Azure Congealing Pill. She suddenly found that she had underestimated Wei Hanyun. After Wei Hanyun successfully refined Azure Congealing Pill, her refining of Xianyuan Pill had no meaning. She would definitely lose this competition. Thinking of this, Lu Qinyue's heart was very depressed. She wanted to win glory for Kanglin School in this competition. At this moment, she didn't even dare to look at her classmates who were full of confidence in her. She had always been a genius alchemist in everyone's eyes. Everyone was full of confidence in her. But today, she actually lost to Wei Hanyun of the Azure Water School. She was afraid everyone would be disappointed in her. After seeing Lu Qinyue's ugly face, Wei Hanyun's mood became very good. After today, he would become famous in this competition. Hey, why do I feel that the situation is not right? Cui Haoyan frowned. Following his gaze, he found that the vice principal and Lu Qinyue's faces were not very good. It was obvious that something had happened. Listening to Cui Haoyan's words, everyone also looked at the high platform. With this look, everyone also found the problem that Cui Haoyan mentioned. If it wasn't for the situation, Lu Qinyue wouldn't show such an expression. Could it be Lu Qinyue lost this competition? Zhang Yinfeng said in a deep voice. Although this competition was not over yet, everyone knew that the higher the grade of the pill, the better the result. Lu Qinyue's expression must be because her pill was not as good as Wei Hanyun's. Isn't that terrible? Bai Junyu's voice sank. Their performance in the first two rounds could be said to be the best. They didn't expect Wei Hanyun to turn the tables in the third round. Don't worry, Hong Zhuang hasn't finished refining her pills yet. Who knows, maybe Hong Zhuang's pills will be stronger than Wei Hanyun's. Xia Jiqing had a kind of blind faith in Bailey Hongzhuang. Since she knew Bailey Hongzhuang, she had never been disappointed in Bailey Hongzhuang. On the high platform, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was still indifferent. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, neither slow nor slow. Her orderly appearance was like a work of art. It did not make people feel nervous at all. On the contrary, it was a kind of pleasant enjoyment. Xia Jiqing believed that Bailey Hongzhuang must have a card up her sleeve, otherwise she would not be so calm. Everyone glanced at Xia Jiqing. Although they didn't understand why Xia Jiqing trusted Bailey Hongzhuang so much, Bailey Hongzhuang was their only hope now. Ding! Another sound of the pill furnace opening sounded. Qi Junin had successfully completed the refining of the pill. With a smile on his face, he took the pill out of the pill furnace and put it into a white porcelain bottle. However, the three people had already finished refining. Only Bailey Hongzhuang was left. Her pill furnace did not even have a medicinal fragrance. The people of the Tsanglan College couldn't help but feel anxious. Time passed by, and there was not much time left before the end of the third round. Chapter 8:13. As the end time got closer and closer, Huan Chuyo's eyes also changed a bit. Bailey Hongzhuang had indeed taken a long time to refine the pill. Although Bailey Hongzhuang had not yet taken the second-grade alchemist assessment in the Alchemist Guild, he believed that Bailey Hongzhuang had definitely reached the level of a second-grade alchemist. However, most of the time needed to refine a second-grade pill was about the same. It was strange that Bailey Hongzhuang had not finished refining for so long. The smile on Song Hongxi's face was getting deeper and deeper. Lu Qinyue was now destined to be defeated by Wei Hanyan. As for Bailey Hongzhuang, he was afraid that she could not even complete it, let alone beat Wei Hanyan. Old Huan, your college's Bailey Hongzhuang seems to be a bit of a bark. Song Hongxi's voice was full of ridicule and pride. He had been nervous because of the appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang. Now it seemed that all his worries were unnecessary. Even if Kanglin College had achieved good results in the first 2 rounds of the competition, so what? The most important thing for an alchemist was to refine pills. What was the use of Bailey Hongzhuang's ability to distinguish and refine medicinal herbs? The more eye-catching the performance in the first round, the worse it would be when the results of the 3rd round came out. No matter how much the Kanglin College wanted to do well in this tournament, it was futile in the end. Jian Qingqiu's face also showed a smile. Although Lingyin College was likely to be the last in the alchemy competition, the alchemy competition had never been their strength. As long as Nangong Aochen defeated all his opponents tomorrow, Lingyin College would still have supreme glory. Hongzhuang's pill has not been refined yet. What should we do? Xia Jiqing could not help but intertwine her hands, her eyes full of worry. Hongzhuang was now the only hope of Kanglin College. Is there any change in the alchemy process? Bai Junyu frowned. If Bailey Hongzhuang had not succeeded at the last moment, it would be really bad. We won't know the outcome until the very last moment. Gong Shaoqing said slowly. His usually cold and expressionless face was now faintly tinged with a trace of paranoia. From the moment they came to Lingyin College, it was already a battle of life and death. They would not admit defeat until the last moment. Chu Jio and the other 2 looked at each other with a hint of surprise in their eyes. According to their perception, there didn't seem to be any problems with the pills in Bailey Hongzhuang's furnace, and Bailey Hongzhuang didn't make any mistakes during the refining process. As such, it could only be said that Bailey Hongzhuang's pill required a relatively long time to refine. There aren't many grade 2 pills that require such a long time. Lin Hao frowned slightly. This time was almost on par with the time needed to concoct a 3rd-grade pill. This girl shouldn't be refining a 3rd-grade pill, right? Bai Jingtian couldn't help but ask when he heard Lin Hao's words. He didn't know anything about alchemy, but if Bailey Hongzhuang really refined a 3rd-grade pill, it would be really heaven-defying. As a result, it would be even more difficult for him to take Bailey Hongzhuang to the Inscription Association. Chapter 8:14. As she said this, Chu Jio couldn't help but look at Bai Jingtian. At this moment, she finally understood that Bai Jingtian was paying special attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. Could it be that the person Bai Jingtian was looking for this time was Bailey Hongzhuang? She and Bai Jingtian had known each other for a long time. Ordinary people would not attract Bai Jingtian's attention at all. She really couldn't understand what was so special about Bailey Hongzhuang to make Bai Jingtian pay so much attention to her. Chen Yu did not find the difference in Bai Jingtian. His eyes were always on Bailey Hongzhuang. In my opinion, although the pill that Bailey Hongzhuang is refining is a 2nd-grade pill, I am afraid that it is not far from a 3rd-grade pill. If Bailey Hongzhuang can successfully refine it within the specified time, then she will be the first in this alchemy competition. On the contrary, Wei Hanyan will be the first. Chen Yu looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's every move. At this moment, everyone had finished, and only Bailey Hongzhuang was still continuing. Usually, in this case, the alchemist who had not finished would be very nervous. However, from Bailey Hongzhuang, he could not see the slightest tension. Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to ignore all the surrounding environment, and nothing could affect her. For an alchemist, this kind of mentality was extremely important, and this also reflected Bailey Hongzhuang's confidence. Chunyu suddenly found that he might have underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang before, because Bailey Hongzhuang's identity as a cultivator was too confusing. There were people who were both cultivators and alchemists. Lu Qinyue was also such an existence, but in the end, everyone would choose a path to focus on. However, this Bailey Hongzhuang could also be considered an anomaly. Not only did she develop both at the same time, but she even achieved results that were difficult for others to achieve. With Lu Qinyue's age, being able to become a second-grade alchemist already made them amazed, but this Bailey Hongzhuang's age seemed to be a bit younger than Lu Qinyue. If Bailey Hongzhuang could really refine a second-tier pill that was close to a third-tier pill, then her talent in alchemy was simply heaven-defying. This kind of result was achieved under the condition that Bailey Hongzhuang divided her attention to cultivate. If Bailey Hongzhuang concentrated on alchemy, then her result. Chunyu simply could not imagine. Thinking of this, Chunyu's eyes couldn't help but be filled with a fiery light. If Bailey Hongzhuang was really such a genius, he must make Bailey Hongzhuang concentrate on alchemy. Ji and Ma also noticed the passion in Chunyu's eyes. He couldn't help but have a bad feeling. They understood this kind of passion very well. It would only be like this after seeing an exceptionally outstanding seedling. In fact, Ji and Ma's heart was a bit more surprised than Chunyu. He didn't understand. What did Bailey Hongzhuang eat when she grew up? Her level of cultivation was very strong. Her attainments and inscription were very outstanding. She even mastered alchemy. At her age, even if she didn't sleep, it was impossible to master so many things. However, Bailey Hongzhuang mastered it. However, he liked such a strange talent the most. Bailey Hongzhuang was concentrating on alchemy. Although Lu Qinyue and others had finished refining their pills, she was not nervous. Chapter 8:15. The higher the grade of the pill, the longer it would take to refine it. After knowing the time of the competition, she had already calculated that she would have enough time to refine the mending Tian pill. Just when everyone was sure that Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't be able to finish the competition, a refreshing medicinal fragrance suddenly filled the air from Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. Smelling this medicinal fragrance, everyone's eyes lit up. This medicinal fragrance seemed to be even stronger than Lu Qinyue's and Wei Hanyan's. Greedily absorbing the medicinal fragrance, everyone felt that under the effects of this medicinal fragrance, their bodies were refreshed. After smelling this medicinal fragrance, Huan Chio's dignified face once again glowed with glory. If his guess wasn't wrong, Bailey Hongzhuang was refining the mending Tian pill. The mending Tian pill was a very famous existence among the second-tier pills. It was also very helpful to cultivators. However, the pill formula of the mending Tian pill was only in the hands of a very small number of alchemists. Even he didn't have the pill formula of the mending Tian pill. Among the second-tier pills, there weren't many pills that could surpass the azure congealing pill, but this mending Tian pill was one of them. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang could refine the mending Tian pill, then Bailey Hongzhuang would become the undisputed number one. While Huan Chuyu was happy, he also felt a bit emotional. He thought that with Lu Qinyue's ability, the chances of winning the competition were very high. He didn't expect that the final key would be Bailey Hongzhuang. At this point, he was afraid that no one would have guessed. After smelling this medicinal fragrance, Wei Hanyan's expression also changed a bit. He had indeed underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang before. He didn't expect her alchemy skills to be so exquisite. It seemed that the Azure Water School had also used a trick to make everyone put their attention on Lu Qinyue. In reality, Bailey Hongzhuang was the real trump card. Fortunately, he had already made his preparations. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang had a higher-level pill formula, so what? As long as the pill could not be refined, all of Bailey Hongzhuang's efforts would be in vain. Xiao He and Xiao Bai looked excited. Master's pill was about to be refined successfully. A guy like Wei Hanyan would be insta-killed. However, just as the pill was about to be refined successfully, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly frowned. This was because she discovered that this pill furnace was actually unable to withstand the hottest temperature before the pill was formed. During the pill refining process, The temperature was the highest before the pill was formed. According to common sense, even if the grade of the heaven-mending pill was slightly higher than that of an ordinary second-grade pill, the pill furnace should not be unable to withstand the temperature, unless someone tampered with it. Almost immediately, Bailey Hongzhuang was sure that someone must have done something to her pill furnace. If it wasn't so, the pill furnace would definitely be able to withstand the temperature. Huan Chuyu and the rest also noticed the sudden change in Bailey Hongzhuang's expression. Logically speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang's pill refining should not be a problem. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression suddenly changed, which meant that something must have gone wrong. Gotcha! A crisp and subtle sound entered everyone's ears. Huan Chuyu and the rest expression suddenly changed. The furnace is going to explode. Chu Jio judged the situation at a glance, but her expression was inconceivable. Chapter 816. What's going on? Is there a problem with Hong Zhuang's pill furnace? Zhang Yunfeng's face changed. She didn't understand how such a problem could occur when the pill was being refined. Xia Jiqing and the others were also nervous. In the critical process of alchemy, if there was a problem with the pill furnace, wouldn't the pill that was about to be refined be destroyed? Haha, I said that how can a cultivator's alchemy skills be good? It's really funny that the furnace is going to explode. The cultivators of Lingyin College laughed mercilessly. An explosion was a situation caused by the strength of the alchemist. Bailey Hongzhuang dares to participate in the alchemy competition with such a level. Is she deliberately looking for fun for us? I'm afraid that Kanglin College will lose face. The first place of the first two rounds can't even refine a pill in the third round. After Xia Jiqing heard the discussion of the people around her, her face couldn't help but become ugly. She immediately wanted to argue with them, but Cui Haoyin stopped her. There were so many people in Lingyin College. She couldn't win at all. It was just a waste of time. Seeing this, Xia Jiqing's face was still full of indignation, but she could only swallow her anger. She believed that this was definitely not a problem with Hong Zhuang. Someone must have done something to the pill furnace. Huan Chuyo's face was gloomy. It was absolutely impossible for the pill furnace to not be able to withstand the temperature of a second-grade pill. The only explanation was that someone had done something to Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. Without waiting for Huan Chuyu to speak, Chu Jio took the lead and said, "Principal Jian, Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace has been tampered with. This competition is not fair." Hearing this, Jian Qingqiu's eyes were also filled with surprise. Tampered with? How is this possible? The eyes of Chun Yu and the others fell on Jian Qingqiu. Although Jian Qingqiu was very surprised, none of them could believe that this matter had nothing to do with Jian Qingqiu. This was Lingyin College, and the pill furnace was also prepared by Lingyin College. Who would believe that it had nothing to do with Jian Qingqiu? Principal Jian, it is too much for someone to tamper with the furnace in this situation, Huan Chuyu said with a cold face. If there was no accident, Bailey Hongzhuang's first place in the alchemy competition would have been destroyed by the other party. As the vice principal of Kanglin College, how could he bear it? Compared to Huan Chuyu's anger, Jian Qingqiu's expression was calm, and he deliberately made an apologetic look on his face. I don't know about this matter, old Huan. You can rest assured. I will find the problem. However, let's wait until this alchemy competition is over before we find out the reason. It's not appropriate to leave now. As Jian Qingqiu's words fell, Huan Chuyu's face became even uglier. Jian Qingqiu's meaning was very clear. He would find out who did this. However, after the alchemy competition ended, the outcome would be decided. Chapter 817. Chu Jio's heart sank slightly, and she looked at Chu Jio with a trace of sympathy. They did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would be targeted like this. Now the competition had reached the last pill, and judging from Jian Qingqiu's attitude, he would never declare the third round invalid because of this. As a result, the Kanglin College could only suffer this loss. Even if they all felt that the Kanglin College was too wronged, the reality was often like this. It wasn't as if they had never encountered such a situation before. A competition was a competition, and many people had lost to such schemes. However, They did not expect that the Lingyin College would be so bold. Even if they knew what was going on, they had no evidence. Huan Chuyu clenched his fists. The current situation made him so powerless. In fact, the situation of the Kanglin College had been like this for many years. Without strength, there was no room to speak. The Kanglin College did not have enough weight among the three colleges. Otherwise, the Lingyin College would not dare to be so blatant. It was not a big deal for him to bear this, but to let the students endure such an unfair attitude because of the powerlessness of the college. How could he face Bailey Hongzhuang? Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi did not care. The world had always been like this. The weak were prey to the strong. With the current status of the Kanglin College, they had no right to speak. Even if they were wronged, what could they do? Old Huan, take it easy. Lin Hao patted Huan Chuyu on the shoulder. In this situation, they had no way to deal with it. Although Bai Jingtian had always hoped that Bailey Hongzhuang would not be taken too seriously by the people of the Alchemist Guild, now that he saw the attitude of the Lingyin College, he could not bear it. Bailey Hongzhuang was a junior that he appreciated very much. How could he watch Bailey Hongzhuang suffer such injustice? Since someone has done something to Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace, it proves that this competition is unfair. Naturally, we have to redo it. Otherwise, if the person who is framed can only suffer in silence, then in my opinion, in the future, there is no need for real strength in the college tournament. You just have to find ways to eliminate the opponent. Principal Jian, is this the purpose of the alchemy competition? Bai Jingtian was not polite at all. Usually, he did not have much interaction with Lingyin College. What's more, he had nothing to ask of Lingyin College. Since he could not stand it, then he would say everything. Jian Qingxiu was dumbfounded. He didn't understand why Bai Jingtian would suddenly speak up for Huan Chuyu. That's right. If it's not fair, we should compete again. Otherwise, the champion of the alchemy competition will be meaningless. Ji Yunma said. Bailey Hongzhuang had helped him solve a problem that he had never understood. He had not had the chance to thank Bailey Hongzhuang properly. Now that such a thing had happened, how could he remain silent? Although Qin Qingwu didn't say anything, she nodded in agreement. This was why he didn't like to deal with people like Jian Qingxiu. These people never cared about the truth. Who knew how many tricks they used behind the scenes? With his character, he didn't know how many things would happen when he interacted with Jian Qingxiu and the others. However, this time Lingyin College had gone too far. Chapter 8:18. Logically speaking, Bai Jingtian and the others didn't have any friendship with Huan Chuyu, so they shouldn't help Huan Chuyu like this. Could it be that Bai Jingtian and the others just couldn't stand it? Thinking of this, Jian Qingxiu was also speechless. He only felt that Bai Jingtian and the others had become stupid from studying every day. They didn't know how to be flexible at all. They were completely stubborn. Everyone present was a discerning person, and no one was unaware of what was going on. The people of the Alchemist Guild didn't speak, but the Inscription Association acted as a righteous person. Wasn't this looking for trouble? Huan Chuyu also didn't expect that Bai Jingtian and the others, who had just met for the first time, would speak up for the Kanglin College. He couldn't help but feel touched. Jian Qingxiu and Lin Yinghao looked at each other. This was really a dilemma. If they knew this situation, they wouldn't have invited Bai Jingtian and the others. In this way, there wouldn't be such a problem. Obviously, regret was useless. After thinking for a moment, Jian Qingxiu said, "Let's take a look first." Bailey Hongzhuang's face changed the moment she felt that the furnace was about to explode. She had already checked the pill furnace before she started refining. After confirming that there was no problem with the pill furnace, she began to refine. However, she didn't expect that the other party's hands and feet were so hidden. She couldn't feel the slightest problem before, and it only appeared at the last moment. Ordinary people wouldn't know this method at all. The only person who could know this trick could only be an alchemist. Almost without thinking, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that this must be done by Wei Hanyan. No wonder Wei Hanyan didn't say anything after suffering a loss in the last round. He had probably already calculated the result of this round. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also showed a touch of fierceness. She had always been a vengeful person. This matter would never be forgotten. Wei Hanyun's eyes were filled with pride. An explosion was a very dangerous thing. If Bailey Hongzhuang didn't retreat immediately, the aftermath of the explosion would affect Bailey Hongzhuang, and it was very likely that she would be seriously injured. However, once Bailey Hongzhuang retreated, her elixir would also turn into ashes. Bang! An explosion sounded. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly flew away. Lu Qinwei and the others also took a few steps back, avoiding the power of the explosion. Lu Qinwei's face was very ugly. This situation was beyond all of their expectations. The medicinal pills refined by Bailey Hongzhuang were completely wasted. In the end, they still lost the alchemy competition. The smile on Wei Hanyun's face became even more brilliant and arrogant. Bailey Hongzhuang, no matter how extraordinary you claim to be, you still failed in refining the pill. Cultivators should do what cultivators should do. As for alchemists, don't get involved. Chu Jiao and the others also sighed. In the end, this was still the result. Wei Hanyun raised his head high. He would be the champion of this year's alchemy competition, and his name would spread far and wide. Bailey Hongzhuang was just a stepping stone for him. The faces of Xia Jiqing and the others changed. It really exploded. They were afraid that such a situation had never happened in the previous alchemy competitions. Damn it! In my opinion, Hongzhuang's pill furnace was most likely Wei Hanyun's doing. Bai Junyu's eyes were burning with anger. Chapter 819. The cultivators of Beihai College cheered. The victory of this round belonged to them. Below the high platform, Gu Yaoi, who was originally in a very low mood, also showed a happy smile after seeing this scene. Even if her performance in the alchemy competition was not satisfactory, Wei Hanyun won, Beihai College won. She was also proud. Although the cultivators of Lingyin College knew that they were at the bottom, they were still happy because the victory did not belong to Kanglin College. Just as Wei Hanyun was waiting for the alchemist referee to judge him as the first place of the alchemy competition, Bailey Hongzhuang's cold voice also came out. Wei Hanyun, you seem to be happy too early. Hearing this, Wei Hanyun could not help but be startled, but the smile on the corner of his mouth did not change. Bailey Hongzhuang, you have not even succeeded in refining the medicinal pill. What qualifications do you have to say such things to me? Hongzhuang you. Lu Qinwei could not help but exclaim after seeing the situation of Bailey Hongzhuang. Her watery eyes flashed with a thick color of disbelief. This was really incredible. Not for anything else, just because Bailey Hongzhuang was burning flames in her hands at the moment, and in the flames, a round and full medicinal pill was in it. When Wei Hanyun saw the medicinal pill in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands, he could not help but be stunned. How is this possible? The alchemy furnace had already exploded, and Bailey Hongzhuang could still save the medicinal pill. This was simply impossible. However, Bailey Hongzhuang told him with facts that nothing was impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with cold light. Wei Hanyun wanted to use such a method to trick her. It was not so simple. A second before the alchemy furnace exploded, she took out the medicinal pill from it. Even she did not have absolute confidence. The temperature before the medicinal pill was the most important. Without the alchemy furnace, she could only use the flame to reach this temperature. Fortunately, she succeeded. What qualifications did a despicable guy like Wei Hanyun have to become the first place of the alchemy competition? She would not let such a despicable person succeed. Everyone present was stunned as they stared blankly at the ball of flame in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. This was too unbelievable. Chu Jiao and the others also widened their eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang's move was really beyond everyone's expectations. Even they may not be able to save the pill before the furnace explodes, but Bailey Hongzhuang did it. Just this point alone was enough to prove how terrifying Bailey Hongzhuang's control of the fire was. This girl is simply unbelievable. A smile appeared on Chu Jiao's face. She could not help but sigh at Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in alchemy. Songlan School had produced another genius alchemist this time. Moreover, the degree of amazement could be said to be the best they had seen in years. Huan Chuyu was also astonished. This good news came too suddenly. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance could only be described as perfect. Bai Jingtian and the others looked at each other. They did not expect this girl to have such attainments in alchemy. Even they could not help but be amazed. Chapter 820. Under the golden sunlight, the woman in the white dress on the high platform had a confident glow on her face. Her gorgeous face was suffocating. Bailey Hongzhuang restrained the flames without moving her body and mind, then put the pill into the white porcelain bottle. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her gaze slightly and looked at Wei Hanyan. The corners of her lips curled slightly, enchanting and charming. "I'm sorry for ruining your plan." As Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, Wei Hanyan's expression became extremely ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were no different from a ruthless slap to his face. He had schemed so hard, but in the end, he still lost to Bailey Hongzhuang? That's impossible. Even if your pill remains in its original state, its internal structure must have been completely destroyed. Wei Hanyan's eyes were filled with doubt. He did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could still save the pill under such circumstances. Perhaps Bailey Hongzhuang was just using this method to get away with it. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and looked at Wei Hanyan with a trace of pity in her eyes. "If you think so, then you're destined to be disappointed." Perhaps Wei Hanyan's method could harm others, but she would not give Wei Hanyan such a chance. Bailey Hongzhuang's move could be said to have shocked many people. Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment, and they simply could not believe what they had seen. This Bailey Hongzhuang is too awesome. This move is simply amazing. It's also my first time seeing such a thrilling scene. Based on her level, refining pills shouldn't cause the furnace to explode, right? As soon as this was said, the crowd, who originally did not know the truth, came to a realization. It was likely that Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace had been tampered with by someone. After Bailey Hongzhuang's pill was successfully refined, Chu Jio and the other two slowly walked to Bailey Hongzhuang and the other three. Now that the last round of the competition had ended, the final result should be decided by the three of them. Chu Jio and the other two took the lead to walk up to Qi Junan and open the white porcelain bottle on his table. Second-grade medicinal pill, bone cleansing pill. The medicinal pill is full and the color is smooth. Upon hearing Chu Jio's words, a smile appeared on Qi Junan's face. He was already quite satisfied with his performance today. When the people of Lingyin College heard that Qi Junan had achieved such a result today, they all applauded. For Qi Junan to be able to refine a grade 2 pill at his age, his future potential would be limitless. Immediately afterwards, Chu Jio and the others arrived before Lu Qingyue. After checking the pills refined by Lu Qingyue, Chu Jio's eyes shone with satisfaction. They had always admired Lu Qingyue, who was very talented in alchemy. Second-grade elixir, yes, profound essence elixir. The elixir is full, and the color is smooth. Lu Qingyue showed a gentle smile. With her current strength, it was already very good to be able to refine the profound essence elixir. This was also the highest level of pills she had mastered. When Qi Junan heard that Lu Qingyue was refining the profound essence elixir, he already understood the gap between him and Lu Qingyue. In this alchemy competition, he had already become a supporting role. The victory had nothing to do with him. When Chu Jio and the other two saw Wei Hanyun's confident refining of the azure coagulation pill, there was a hint of surprise in their eyes. Chapter 821. Although they did not have a good impression of Wei Hanyun's behavior, they had to admit that Wei Hanyun's attainments in alchemy were high. The difficulty of refining the azure coagulation pill was extremely high among the second-grade pills. This meant that as long as Wei Hanyun was given some time, he would not be far from breaking through to become a third-grade alchemist. When the people under the high platform heard these pills, doubts appeared in their eyes. They were all second-grade pills, but they did not know who had the best results. Fortunately, there were also some alchemists in Lingyin College, and they immediately told everyone the difference between the three pills. For a time, everyone's eyes fell on Wei Hanyan. At present, Wei Hanyun's results were the best. What azure coagulation pill? Hongzhuang's pills must be the best. Xia Jiqing's voice was firm. She believed that Hong Zhuang would definitely defeat Wei Hanyun, this despicable villain. Looking at Xia Jiqing's blind worship, Zhang Yunfeng also smiled helplessly, but there was some worry in her eyes. If Hong Zhuang's pill furnace did not explode, then it would be fine. I'm just worried that the explosion of the pill furnace will affect the pill. As Zhang Yunfeng's voice fell, the mood of Gong Shaoqing and the others also became heavy. They had also thought of this problem, but there was still a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Wei Hanyun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a sneer. He absolutely did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could complete the refining of the pill in the case of an explosion. He was not scared, and Bailey Hongzhuang's words could not affect him at all. This Wei Hanyun is really an idiot. Xiaohe looked at Wei Hanyun as if he was an idiot. She had seen people who comforted themselves, but she had never seen someone who comforted themselves so blindly. He thinks that everyone is like him because his strength is not good, but he will not be able to continue lying to himself in a while. Xiaobai raised her eyebrows. In a while, this guy would fall into complete despair. Chu Jio and the other two stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. They were greatly surprised by Bailey Hongzhuang's performance. You can't judge a book by its cover. Bailey Hongzhuang's innate talent in pill refining had already gained their approval. However, they were also worried that the pill that Bailey Hongzhuang had saved under that kind of situation might not be an effective pill at all. As alchemists, they were very familiar with the situation of furnace explosions. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's method was feasible in theory, to really do it, the difficulty was not ordinary. Huan Chio's hands slowly clenched. Everything depends on Bailey Hongzhuang now. Compared to everyone's nervousness, Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm. With a faint smile on her lips, she handed the white porcelain bottle to Chu Jio. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's confidence, Chu Jio could not help but feel puzzled. Could it be that there was really nothing wrong with Bailey Hongzhuang's pill? However, when Chu Jio opened the white porcelain bottle, a refreshing medicinal fragrance wafted out and filled her nose. In her line of sight, the pill was perfectly round and plump. There was not a single flaw to be found. However, this was only on the surface. As for the situation inside, it was unknown. However, as Chu Jio and the other two examined it more carefully, they looked at each other and a hint of amazement surfaced in their eyes. Second-grade pill, nourishing heavenly pill. The pill is plump, the color is smooth, and there are no flaws. Chapter 822. As Chu Jio's voice fell, everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Xia Jiqing and Bai Junyu gave each other a high five. Her delicate face was full of excitement. I knew Hong Zhuang could do it. Even Gong Shaoqing's unchanging iceberg face showed a smile at this moment. Bailey Hongzhuang had created a miracle. Lu Huayin clenched his hands, his eyes shining. Bailey Hongzhuang really made the Azure Water College proud. Huan Chuyu slammed his fist on the table. He hadn't been so excited for many years. Bailey Hongzhuang was really amazing. Lu Qinyue was also shocked. She was no stranger to the mending heavenly pill. She had heard her master talk about it before, but her master didn't have the recipe. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang not only had the recipe, but also refined it. The Xinyuan pill she refined was only a second-grade pill. Bailey Hongzhuang's pill was close to a third-grade pill. She had always thought that Bailey Hongzhuang's talent was close to hers, but now it seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang was much better than her. Whether it was age or alchemy, she was better than her. This gap was almost impossible to make up. However, the most important thing was that the mending heavenly pill was more difficult than the condensing jade pill. This meant that they had won the alchemy competition. The Azure Water College had won. The Azure Water College, who had failed twice in a row, had won. Lu Qinyue's face showed a smile. She was happy for the college's results, but there was still a trace of disappointment in her heart. Impossible. Wei Hanyun's face suddenly changed. This is impossible. In that case, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't guarantee the pill's integrity. You must have made a mistake. He absolutely couldn't accept this result. Hearing Wei Hanyun's words, Lin Hao's face became colder. He said coldly, "Are you questioning our judgment?" Wei Hanyun couldn't help but be startled when he saw the cold expressions on the faces of the three alchemy masters. Even if he didn't believe it, he couldn't doubt the three alchemy masters. This year's alchemy competition, first place, Azure Water College's Bailey Hongzhuang. Cui Haoyin and the others shouted, their faces showing a happy smile. Kanglin College won. Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongshi's faces were really ugly. They had thought about it for so long, but they lost. Huan Chuyu looked at Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongshi with a bright smile and said, Principal Jian, I hope you can find out who the mastermind is. Hearing this, Jian Qingxiu gloomily looked at Huan Chuyu. Due to his face, he could only say, Don't worry, I will definitely find this person. Then I'm relieved. Huan Chuyu chuckled and walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang. This time, Beihai College's efforts were in vain. Hongzhuang, you are great. Xia Jiqing and the others had rushed to Bailey Hongzhuang. This time, the alchemy competition was really thanks to Bailey Hongzhuang's efforts to turn the tide. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were filled with a sunny smile. She didn't intend to participate in the alchemy competition, but by chance she became the first place of the alchemy competition. The scene just now was really thrilling. Our hearts were in our throats. Haha. Cui Haoyin said with a smile. Very powerful. Gong Shaoqing also said. Chapter 823. Feeling Wei Hanyun's resentful eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned slightly. She always felt that there was something fishy about the appearance of this Wei Hanyun. She had never heard of such a person in Beihai College before. Today, he suddenly appeared and was so well prepared. There was always something fishy about it. Unfortunately, she could not find any relevant evidence. Fortunately, everyone's plans were not ruined by Wei Hanyun's appearance. At this time, Mo Yunjue also came in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and said with a smile, Hongzhuang, congratulations. Seeing the appearance of Mo Yunjue, without waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to reply, Xia Jiqing's voice had already sounded first. Young Master Mo, you came too late. You didn't see how powerful Hongzhuang was before. Xia Jiqing's face was full of regret. The scene in the alchemy competition was simply wonderful. Until now, she still couldn't help but sigh. Hearing this, Mo Yunjue smiled faintly. There was also some regret in his expression. I have some things to do, so I came over now. But I'm also very happy to know the result. The next moment, Mo Yunjue handed a note to Bailey Hongzhuang and said with a smile, I think you may need this. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Mo Yunjue's calm and handsome face, and there was a strange color in her eyes. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang saw the contents of the note, her face could not help but change a bit. Thank you. Bailey Hongzhuang raised the note in her hand, and her face was filled with a happy smile. Mo Yunjue's smile was still as deep as a black hole, and the smile on his handsome face was very charming. Everyone, please don't leave for a while. I have something to say. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly raised her voice. For a time, everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. They did not know what Bailey Hongzhuang was going to do. Xia Jiqing and the others were puzzled. They did not know what was written on the note that Mo Yunjue gave to Bailey Hongzhuang. The alchemy competition was already over. What else did Hongzhuang have to announce? Huan Chuyu and the others' eyes also fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Compared to the other people's surprise, Huan Chuyu looked very indifferent. Since Bailey Hongzhuang came to the college to study, she had never done anything out of the ordinary. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang must have her reasons for doing this. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Wei Hanyun meaningfully. Wei Hanyun couldn't help but be startled, and a bad premonition arose in his heart. However, he had hidden everything very well. He did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could find out. Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongshi also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang unkindly. They felt that this girl was too outstanding. Whether it was the cultivator competition or the alchemy competition, Bailey Hongzhuang's performance was too outstanding. This was not a good thing for them. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly stopped everyone. Could it be that she was arrogant? Bailey Hongzhuang walked directly in front of Huan Chuyu and handed the note in her hand to him. She believed that Huan Chuyu would solve this matter very well. When Huan Chuyu saw the contents of the note, his expression changed slightly. Anger and dissatisfaction flashed. When he looked at Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi again, his face was cold. Chapter 824. As the voice of Huan Chuyu fell, the faces of Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi both changed. Old Huan, what do you mean by this? Jian Qingxiu asked tentatively, but his heart was in turmoil. They had kept this matter secret very well, and it was reasonable to say that it was impossible for anyone to find out. There is no such person as Wei Hanyun in the team of Beihai College. Moreover, according to the information we know, Wei Hanyun seems to have been a student of Lingyin College. Huan Chio's voice did not have any restraint, and all the students present heard it clearly. The faces of the cultivators of Beihai College changed a bit. They knew in their hearts that there was no such person as Wei Hanyun in Beihai College. It was just that the mentor had told them not to spread this matter out last night. They did not expect that today it would be discovered by the people of Kanglin College. Wei Hanyun used to study in Lingyin College, but left in just a few months, so the current students may not have any impression of him. But if you want to find a witness, I don't think it is difficult. Huan Chuyo's voice was cold. He had always known that Lingyin College and Beihai College were colluding with each other, but he did not expect that they would use such a despicable trick in this college tournament. For a long time, he felt that with the strength of Lu Qinyue, it should not be difficult to win first place in this alchemy competition. Who would have thought that Beihai College would have a more powerful Wei Hanyun, and he had not received any news before? It turned out that all this was just a scheme of Beihai College and Lingyin College. If it were not for the appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang, then this time Kanglin College would have really failed. The audience was in an uproar. A stunned gaze fell on the four principals. This news was so shocking that even they found it hard to believe. This is impossible, right? How can Wei Hanyun not be a student of Beihai College? I have not seen Wei Hanyun in the team of Beihai College before. Is this true? Even if it is true, it must be the work of Beihai College. It certainly has nothing to do with our college. Song Hongxi could not help but look at Jian Qingxiu. Previously, Jian Qingxiu had repeatedly assured him that there would be no problem, so he used Wei Hanyun. Who would have thought that this news would be so easily found out by Kanglin College? As a result, it would be difficult for Beihai College to clean up the mess. Xiao Lanmei looked at the nervous Song Hongxi on the high platform, and there was a hint of disgust in his eyes. He turned and walked back to the dormitory. Because of the decision of the vice principal, the entire Beihai College was shamed. Chu Jio and the others also had a strange look in their eyes. They only felt that Lingyin College had done something to Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy furnace and were very disgusted. He didn't expect Beihai College to be even more excessive. They even asked for foreign aid in this kind of college exchange. Did they have any shame? Xia Jiqing and the others were all stunned. They didn't expect the vice principal to announce such a shocking news. Furthermore, this news seemed to have come from Mo Yunjue. Didn't this mean that the reason why Mo Yunjue hadn't appeared today was to help them investigate Wei Hanyun's origins? Chapter 825. When Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi fell into silence, everyone had already understood everything. In fact, Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi wanted to refute, but Huan Chuyu said it so confidently. They were afraid that he had a lot of evidence, so they couldn't refute blindly. Otherwise, once they were exposed, their situation would be even worse. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes also fell on Mo Yunjue. It was hard to imagine that Mo Yunjue had already known everything, and even helped them to dig out all the information about Wei Hanyun. Mo Yunjue. What did he do? Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi could become the head of a school, which proved that they were not fools. If they were not completely sure, they would never do this. But even when they had sufficient confidence, Mo Yunjue could still find out all the information, which was not an ordinary ability. It was impossible for a restaurant owner to find out all this. It could only be said that Mo Yunjue must have hidden a lot of things. Master, this Mo Yunjue is very powerful. Wei Hanyun just appeared today, but Mo Yunjue only took such a short time to find out the details of Wei Hanyun, which proves that there must be a lot of people behind him. Xiao He looked more serious, which was enough to prove that Mo Yunjue's information network was very good. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. It seemed that, as she had always thought, Mo Yunjue was not a simple character. The restaurant owner should be just one of Mo Yunjue's identities. His real identity was even more confusing. It's just that she didn't understand why Mo Yunjue, who they met by chance, would help her like this. Master, Nangong Xiujia. Could it be that Mo Yunjue did it? Xiaobai pondered. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned, and a flash of light flashed through her dark eyes. What Xiaobai said was not impossible. From the attitude of Nangong Xiujia towards Mo Yunjue in the first tower, Mo Yunjue must be extraordinary, so Nangong Xiujia was quite afraid of him. With Mo Yunjue's strength, it should not be difficult for him to kill Nangong Xiujia. After all, when she first met Mo Yunjue escaped from the hands of the cloud-gulping python. It's just that Mo Yunjue had no reason to kill Nangong Xiujia at all, unless it was for her. When this idea appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's mind, she also felt that it was inconceivable. There was no need at all. Although Bailey Hongzhuang felt that it was inconceivable, she had a faint intuition that this might be Mo Yunjue's doing. Facing Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze, Mo Yunjue still had a charming smile on his lips, and his cold face revealed a bit of sexiness. He was so magnanimous and indifferent, but Bailey Hongzhuang felt more confused. Don't think too much. You just need to know that I have no malice towards you. That's enough. Mo Yunjue said slowly. He knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had always been smart. Everything he did must have made Bailey Hongzhuang think a lot, but he didn't care. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Mo Yunjue deeply. But I don't understand. Mo Yunjue's smile deepened, and he leaned over to Bailey Hongzhuang's ear and said, Are you sure you want to know the reason? Say it. Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate. She never believed that there would be help for no reason in this world. Chapter 826. When his voice fell, Mo Yunjue had already returned to his original place. His handsome and cold face was free and indifferent, as if what he had just talked about was just that the weather was good today. Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned and looked at Mo Yunjue in a daze. This reason, do you believe it? Mo Yunjue asked. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head after thinking for a moment. I don't believe it. Mo Yunjue said it too calmly, so she felt that it was impossible to believe. It was just a joke, or perhaps it was just a perfunctory reason for Mo Yunjue. Because after Mo Yunjue said this reason, she really could not continue to ask. Mo Yunjue shrugged his shoulders. He was not surprised by Bailey Hongzhuang's answer. His smile was still charming, but no one noticed the seriousness and paranoia in Mo Yunjue's eyes. Principal Jian, Vice Principal Tsang, no matter what, you should give us an explanation for this matter. Huan Chio's attitude was tough. Over the years, Lingying College and Kanglin College had become more and more excessive. Although he knew some things, he had no evidence. Now that he finally had evidence, he naturally had to attack the arrogance of the two colleges. Now that the two colleges wanted Kanglin College to win, he naturally did not mind making it difficult for the two colleges. When Chu Jio and the others saw that Huan Chuyu could deal with Jian Qingxiu and the others, their eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. They were really curious about Bailey Hongzhuang. A cultivator could actually have such exquisite alchemy skills. She was simply a heaven-sent genius. Bai Jingtian and the others were obviously shocked by Wei Hanyin's matter. After seeing the actions of Chu Jio and the others, they reacted. Their biggest goal was Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey girl, have you joined the Alchemist Guild? Chu Jio asked with a smile. After Xia Jiqing and the others saw the three masters coming over, they understood that the three masters must have been interested in this talent. They immediately retreated. This was a great opportunity for Bailey Hongzhuang. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. I joined the Alchemist Guild in Songlan City. Huan Chuyu and the other two nodded slightly. It seemed like old Huan's actions weren't slow either. This kind of talent should indeed be recruited into the Alchemist Guild as soon as possible. Chun Yu was exceptionally optimistic about Bailey Hongzhuang and said with a smile, "Bailey, lass, your attainments in alchemy are so outstanding. It's a waste for you to be a cultivator. In my opinion, you might as well focus on studying alchemy like Qinwei. Your future prospects will be even brighter. If you don't have a mentor, I'm willing to teach you everything I know." Chen Yu is very optimistic about Bailey Hongzhuang. When Huan Chuyu found such a good disciple like Lu Qinwei, he was very envious. He was not young anymore, and he just wanted to find a disciple who could inherit his legacy. Bailey Hongzhuang's talent was really outstanding. As long as she was guided well, her future results would definitely be very good. As Chun Yu's voice fell, the students present all looked at Bailey Hongzhuang enviously. This was too lucky. Master Chun was famous in the Qing dynasty. His alchemy skills were very outstanding. It was said that he was not far from becoming a fifth-grade alchemist. Chapter 827. Bailey Hongzhuang's luck is really enviable. As long as she can become Master Chen's disciple, she will be famous in the future. Yes, we don't have such good luck as Bailey Hongzhuang. Gu Yaoi and others' eyes flashed with envy and jealousy. If Bailey Hongzhuang hadn't stolen their limelight in the alchemy competition, maybe they would be Master Chen's disciple now. Wei Hanyun's face was even more gloomy. This was also one of his goals. As long as he could find an illustrious master, his future would be bright and broad. But now it was actually snatched away by Bailey Hongzhuang. However, as soon as Chun Yu's voice fell, Lin Hao's voice sounded. "Elder Chun, it's not very kind of you to do this." Lin Hao glanced at Chun Yu with dissatisfaction. He didn't expect Chun Yu to act so fast. He even wanted to take Bailey Hongzhuang as his disciple first. Like Chun Yu, he had always wanted to accept a disciple, but he hadn't found a suitable candidate. He liked Bailey Hongzhuang very much. Bailey Hongzhuang was first class in both talent and character. He immediately put away his love for her and naturally couldn't let Chen Yu take her away. "Bailey girl, Chen Yu is not as good as me. Why don't you be my disciple?" "Lin Hao, why do you like to compete with me for everything?" Chen Yu looked at Lin Hao with dissatisfaction. He finally found such a good disciple, and Lin Hao wanted to compete with him? Absolutely impossible. "What do you mean by that? I have thought about this for a long time. You just opened your mouth a little earlier than I did." Chen Yu's face showed a little displeasure. He turned around and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again, but there was a smile on his face. "Ignore this old guy, Bailey girl. I am better than this old guy." Looking at Chen Yu and Lin Hao's competition, the onlookers couldn't help but open their mouths wide, and their eyes were full of disbelief. What did they see? It had always been the alchemists who wanted to be apprenticed to Master Chun and Master Lin, but there was no way. Now Master Chun and Master Lin were competing to be Bailey Hongzhuang's teacher? The world was too mysterious. Why did all the good things fall on Bailey Hongzhuang? Xia Jiqing and others also showed a smile. At the age of Chun Yu and Lin Hao, they could still fight for Bailey Hongzhuang, which showed how much they valued Bailey Hongzhuang. "You two old guys, I have my eyes on Bailey girl." At that moment, Chu Jio's words stunned Chen Yu and Lin Hao. They had forgotten that Chu Jio had also been looking for a suitable disciple. The two of them had liked Chu Jio for many years. Since Chu Jio had spoken, they had no choice but to give up Lin Hao's Hongzhe Hongzhuang. Chu Jio and the other two were usually high and mighty, but now they were just competing for a disciple. How big was Bailey Hongzhuang's face? Bailey Hongzhuang did not expect such a situation to happen. She did not even have time to speak, as the masters had already made their own decisions. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to speak, Bai Jingtian and the other two also came over. Chapter 828. Without waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to greet him, Bai Jingtian had already looked at Chu Jio and the other two and spoke first. "What are you fighting for?" "Little girl Bailey has a real future on the path of an inscription master. Alchemy is a complete waste of talent." Bai Jingtian looked like he did not want to give in. They had specially rushed over from Wubao Pavilion for Bailey Hongzhuang. Chu Jio and the other two actually wanted to take the lead in snatching Bailey Hongzhuang away. That was absolutely impossible. As Bai Jingtian's voice fell, Chu Jio and the other two were also stunned. What was Bai Jingtian up to? Old Bai, are you mistaken? Bailey Hongzhuang is clearly a genius alchemist. What does she have to do with an inscription master? Chen Jingyu looked at Bai Jingtian in confusion. How amazing was Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in the alchemy competition today? This had nothing to do with inscription technique at all. Only Chu Jio vaguely understood a little. Previously, she felt that Bai Jingtian and the other two paid special attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. Now it seemed that they were really here for Bailey Hongzhuang. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were so exquisite. How could it be related to inscription technique? Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang knew both? When this idea appeared in Chu Jio's mind, even she felt very ridiculous. It was simply impossible. As a cultivator, Bailey Hongzhuang could have such attainments in alchemy was already extremely amazing. If Bailey Hongzhuang also knew inscription technique, it was impossible for such an existence in the world. How could I be wrong? We have been looking for little girl Bailey for a few days. Little girl Bailey's future in inscription technique is definitely better than her future in alchemy. Bai Jingtian puffed out his chest, and his weathered face was full of seriousness and persistence. How could an alchemist be as rare as an inscription master? Bailey Hongzhuang was able to answer the question that these three old fellows had not been able to figure out. It was clear that Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in inscription technique were not lower than theirs. What kind of talent was this? Even back then, they found it hard to believe. But now, they had accepted the fact that such an existence existed in this world. Old White is right. Bailey Girl is definitely a genius inscription master. Jiyama also spoke. Although they had a good relationship with Chan Yu and the others, at this moment, they were in the camp of the inscriptionists. Everyone present was completely petrified, or by Jingtian and Jiyama. That was a true inscription master. Everyone present wanted to obtain their own inscriptions, but the three inscription masters rarely made a move. Buying an inscription was even more difficult than buying a pill. But now, they were all fighting for Bailey Hongzhuang to be their disciple. Just who was this Bailey Hongzhuang? Why did all the good luck come to Bailey Hongzhuang? My God, isn't Bailey Hongzhuang a cultivator? Why can she refine pills and also inscribe? A cultivator was stunned. From the conversation between Bai Jingtian and others, he could understand that Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in inscription technique were also amazing. How can there be such a weirdo in this world? How can she let us live like this? Inscription master, Bailey Hongzhuang, is actually an inscription master. I finally understand why Bailey Hongzhuang took out so many inscriptions yesterday. She is an inscription master. Chapter 829. Shui Haoling, who was already deeply shocked, almost spat out a mouthful of blood after hearing this. This was definitely a blow. A naked blow. He was so proud because of an inscription, but Bailey Hongzhuang was the one who made this inscription. He even ridiculed Bailey Hongzhuang before. Wasn't this slapping his own face? Even, he broke his promise to everyone for Bailey Hongzhuang's inscription. At the thought of this, Shui Haoling felt a burning pain on his face. In this life, he was afraid that he would have no face to see Bailey Hongzhuang. He had never been so humiliated. Shui Haoling no longer stayed in the same place to watch the fun, otherwise he would only be laughed at by everyone. Jian Xingqiu and Song Hongxi also noticed the movements of Bailey Hongzhuang and others at this moment. When they heard the content of the dispute between Bai Jingtian and others, their faces were full of shock and astonishment. The news that Bailey Hongzhuang was not only a cultivator, but also an alchemist had already shocked them greatly. Now there was the news that Bailey Hongzhuang was an inscription master. What was going on? Did Bailey Hongzhuang start learning since she was in her mother's womb? As the principal of the college, they had seen many excellent students, but they had never seen a student as abnormal as Bailey Hongzhuang. With the identity of Bai Jingtian and others, it was naturally impossible to lie because there was no need at all. For a time, Jian Xingqiu and Song Hongxi were somewhat envious of the Kanglin College. Originally, the Kanglin College was already powerless to reverse the situation. They didn't expect that they would recruit such a genius student as Bailey Hongzhuang. With one person's strength to turn the tide, could it be this was God's will? The surprise in Huan Chuyo's heart was no less than Jian Qingxiu and Song Hongxi. For a long time, he only knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was an alchemist, but he had never heard that she was quite accomplished in inscription. Bailey Hongzhuang had hidden herself too deeply. He didn't even dare to imagine what kind of existence Bailey Hongzhuang's master was. To nurture a disciple like Bailey Hongzhuang, the amount of energy and resources spent must be enormous. Xia Jiqing and the others also had an unbelievable look in their eyes. They were so familiar with Hongzhuang, but they never knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was an inscription master. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's performance at the Wubao Pavilion had shocked them, and Bailey Hongzhuang had an understanding of inscription techniques, they had never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was an inscription master, because this was too inconceivable. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang had given them so many inscriptions yesterday, they still hadn't thought about it. However, this inconceivable situation turned out to be a fact. What kind of beast was this teammate that they had known for so long? Even Mo Yunjue, who had always been calm, had a hint of surprise in his pitch-black eyes after knowing about this. Mo Yunjue's lips were slightly hooked. It seemed that he still underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the several seniors in front of her who were arguing for her, and a little helplessness appeared on her beautiful face. Several seniors. As soon as Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, Bai Jingtian and the others stopped arguing and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang together. They want to know Bailey Hongzhuang's thoughts. Facing 6 pairs of eyes staring at her, Bailey Hongzhuang could only bite the bullet and said, "Thank you, seniors, for your kindness, but I don't have the idea of apprenticeship.